and the Grenadines. We FM is SVG.
Eighteen minutes on to 11 o'clock here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. You're locked onto WFM 99.9 Clean Fresh Sound, and this is your Turn program. Remember, Your Turn is an interactive program, so the numbers to call are 457 9997 if you're calling from a local landline, 532 9997 if you're calling from a digital cell phone, and you can also send us a message or call us on WhatsApp at 457 9997. The Your Turn program is being hosted by Mr. Cecil Ryan, Mr. Phil Bodjon, and Mr. Joel Providence. Good morning to you, Cecil.
Good morning to you, Karen, and good morning to Joel, and good morning to Philbert. And of course, good morning to all our listeners on the WFM platforms, on the Star FM, and of course, Garifuna. Good morning to you, and as was introduced, my name is Cecil Ryan. I'm happy to be with you in your company this morning, as usual, another Sunday morning, Sunday, June 15. We have a number of small issues, but nonetheless very important issues to bring to your attention this morning and to invite you to be part of our discussion. The main issue is really to do with Vincy Mass, if you like, Carnival. We have Dr. Cleve Scott, who's going to talk about some of the innovations in Vincy Mass. He will be linking with us via video from Barbados this morning, so we look forward to that discussion. And before that, we have some smaller things. As usual, as you know, we usually have some small things. Not small, but significant. So I'm going to invite my colleagues now to greet you, and then we can get back to the small things. Pijan?
Thank you very much, Cecil, and good morning. Good morning, Joel. Good morning, Kieran, and good morning to all of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and to all persons listening to WFM wherever you are in neighboring territories, in the wider diaspora. Good morning, and as usual, it's good to be back on another edition of Your Turn. We hope that you engage us, call in, discuss our issues. Joel?
Yes, good morning, Cecil and Pigeon. It's good to be back. As you know, I wasn't here last Sunday, June 15th. Today is a day when I would like to hear the views more than anything else of Mr. Pigeon. It's Father's Day, and I know that he has some very interesting and specific views on the question of fathers, their roles, and the appreciation of their roles. I am keen to hear his comment on the subject, but in any event, I just would want to say a very special, extend a very special greeting to the men of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and to recognize that we too have an important role to play in the social development and economic development, the social development of our young people in particular. And I just want you to be celebrated. I don't want you, however, to be treated as a king, because this is No King's Day. And yesterday was No King's Day, today as well. So not in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, but be that as it may, feel good about yourself and continue to champion the cause of our young people.
Mm-hmm. Pijan, you're going to
all I have to say is Happy Father's Day to all fathers out there. We have good fathers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. Mm-hmm. And I just want to share a perspective from my position, former position as an educator. having to deal with fathers. Not many, but the few that I had to deal with were quite good. To me, it was a more relaxing experience engaging with a father in connection with his child or children than dealing with mothers. Mothers were very protective and to the point where they couldn't listen or didn't listen. Fathers tended to listen and engage you reasonably when it comes to dealing with their children. And so generally they are good fathers in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I really want to take the opportunity to wish all of them Happy Father's Day.
Pigeon, I know traditionally you also remind us and our listeners that there are mothers who perform the role of fathers.
Yes.
And you greet them too.
But they got their flowers on Mother's Day.
All right. Fair enough. Yeah. So what is this for the fathers, Joel? I mean, Pigeon, just remind the mothers got their flowers. What's the symbolic thing that the women, the fathers?
Maybe a WhatsApp message.
All right.
I guess the other thing is, well, Jamaicans call it jacket. We call it pig in a bag. There are some men who may feel they have experienced that. I normally say, once as a child, embrace it. Doesn't matter whether it's yours by blood or not.
Perform the role of a
embrace
father.
it. Take your jacket and wear it with pride.
Which is really, this is something that I wanted to raise, and Pigeon just hit the nail on the head, because I think I would have forgotten had Pigeon not said what he just did. They'd say in Jamaica they had changed the legislation, and I don't think it has taken place in St. Vincent, where pretty much that every child born in a hospital in Jamaica, and for the issue of a birth certificate, that birth certificate must have the name of the mother and also of the father. Rather than, like we traditionally, we would have that space
to be added
or just blank and so forth. But you must, so virtually at the hospital, the nurse or whoever say, well, your name is Mary John or whatever, and this is your child born whatever day, and you need to provide the name of the father. Sometimes some women in Jamaica have been hesitant to provide the name of the father, right? But no, it is obligatory. And if there are any issues afterwards, if, for example, the father, as Pigeon said, if he feel that he got a jacket, then there's a course of action that he can take to have that change. But for the time being, and until further notice, he is the father. Like the Maury Povich show in the States, John Jones, you are the father, and so on. That's a declaration. And I think that every birth certificate really should have the name
Of the father.
Of the father along with that of the mother. And I support that.
Yeah. Somebody's calling us early. We're not taking call. You're not ready to take calls yet. The person will have to call back sometime subsequently. Yeah. So we have a number of small issues. Before we get into them, Joel.
No, just one last thing on the subject of fatherhood and motherhood is still the issue of our population growth rate. That it has been subject of casual comment, and then it raised its ante to a level of subject of official comment or semi-official comment. As you know, that the Prime Minister, for example, has spoken to the issue on more than one occasion, and he would have gotten pushback from persons about this particular question. Particularly young ones who said, no, that's it. 2 or whatever the figure is, that they're good with that. That's where they're staying. If they want none, it's none, and so forth. They cannot be dictated to in terms of how many children they should have or if they should have any at all. But we now see the situation, though, that we need, for this society to sustain itself in more ways than one over time, it's important that it replenishes it with a new generation of children of a certain quantity and number of persons. We use the CPA as an indicator of what has happened with our population growth rate. And I recall the days when for the common entrance there are 2,900 persons doing common entrance, 3,000, 2,750, that kind of figure. And that's not too long ago. And but now it's 1,600 persons. This year, I think it was 15 something. And it is projected to go all the way down to 1,100. And you have situations where they have schools virtually with an entire school of 6 persons signing up for the CPA and so forth. And it's not a unique, unusual situation. So this is something that we have to talk about again at some time, that we should have mothers and fathers with responsibly taking care of their children and responsibly taking care of the future generation.
Gentlemen, I did say that, and to our listeners, that Dr. Scott is joining us this morning via video link to talk about innovation in Vinci Calypso, if you like. He's already on the line. I am in between. Well, it's up to him if he wants to join us and be part of this preliminary. So, Dr. Scott, I'm sure you're hearing me. It's up to you.
Yes. Good morning.
Good morning. Good to
Joel,
have
my
you.
former teacher. Oh, you took off your hat. I was going to say I like your hat.
I'll put it back on. Yeah. Good morning to you, my former fellow Montrosian. No, still fellow Montrosian.
Yes. And Pigeon, good morning.
Good day, sir. Good morning.
Warrant up. No, you're warrant officer. What's
All
the
right,
story?
thanks for reminding me about that.
Yeah.
Yeah, Dr. Scott, it's good to have you on. We do, as you know, we usually do some preliminaries, and we're still into the preliminaries, but it's up to you if you want to chip in at any point in time.
In fact,
Yeah.
the point Joel was making about motherhood and fatherhood, you won't believe it, Joel. I had a request. Well, the historians who are working on the National History of St. Vincent, we had a request from a young lady of Vincentian parentage. In fact, I would tell you that she said her grandfather is John Daisy. And I'm sure all of you know John Daisy.
Yes.
And she was born in New York and grew up in New York, attended NYU, New York University, which incidentally, I spent the whole week before coming back to St. Vincent to judge Calypso at NYU. And her proposal was to apply for a Fulbright scholarship to study parenting in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And Dr. Adrian Fraser, Dr. Michael Gary Denny, who people in Bottomtown know as Grubby, and Dr. Arnold Thomas, we asked her why. And she said she found it interesting that her mother parented her differently from other parents in New York City. And she wanted to get to the root of this. And sometimes I always say that in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, we possess tremendous uniqueness and goodness, and we don't always seem to want to celebrate this. In fact, this is a point the Prime Minister has made, Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves has made over and over and over. And this is a point also I want to continue to emphasize. And that is why we did, for example, the work on the Spiritual Baptist movement. So yes, Joel, you are right on what you were saying this morning.
Talking about Spiritual Baptist, Dr. Scott, on the way down this morning, as I normally do on Sunday mornings, I'd pass spiritual people who are members of the Spiritual Baptist and are waiting for transportation. And I always admire the way they dress, just as I did this morning. I passed you always. And that leads me to share with you guys and our listeners that I attended a Gecko function last night. It's called Culture and Rhythm. And the everybody was asked to dress in African outfit. Of course, yours truly would not be left
Would not
out.
have a problem with that.
No, not at all. But it's a splendor really of the gathering. You know, people just went out and the deck down in their African outfit. It was wonderful. I want to give kudos to Geku, and in particular those who arranged it to happen. It was really, really wonderful, and it took place out at I don't remember.
The Mill.
The Mill took place at the Mill. Fitting environment.
And the music was different, or it was
Well, regular
soca and reggae
and some a little bit of not much reggae, but a little bit of US bass rhythm. I mean blues, not blues. Sorry, soul basically. Not much hip hop. And the only thing I have to say about the music, though, I wanted to hear more Vincy music, but I didn't hear enough of that. I heard Touch and I heard Beckett, but largely it was Trini origin music, and I didn't hear any for 2025. So anyway, that's a side comment. I just want to really commend the Gecko. A wonderful experience last night. Yes, gentlemen, I want to play this clip here. It's a reminder for all of us, I think. I want to it's short, very short, so let's hear it. Let's listen to it.
Magnificent hook shot out of the ground. What a great shot. What a great shot. And really hammered that square before. He got it in no uncertain terms. Beautiful flashing cover drive. Typical of the man. And he's out. What a way to end the match. The charge of the brigade over. A win before West Indies here by 17 runs.
Do you remember that?
Yes, I know
Okay.
exactly what it is. That is the
Okay.
1975 World Cup Finals, West Indies versus Australia.
Oh, you know everything, man.
Yes, and West Indies made 291 and 290 and beat Australia in the finals by 17 runs.
I mean-
In that same final, Viv Richards was responsible for three runouts
Runouts.
and so forth, and Clive Lloyd made 102.
Oh, you like
Yes. Yes, supported by Rohan Kanai and
Yes.
with a little bit from Alvin Kalitran in between
Mm.
and so forth. So I'm quite familiar, and I do recall. Never mind that it is.
everything.
Never mind that it is 50 years ago.
50 years ago.
Yes. I had to play this because I watched yesterday the ending of the match between South Africa and Australia,
Yes.
and I felt huge.
Passionate.
Yeah, man.
Yeah.
It reminded me of the olden days of West Indies. Yes, Joel.
Yeah, and to just to add, because I looked at it, I wanted to make sure I'm up for 5:30 because 69 runs to go and to lift this coveted trophy. Because you know that there are certain issues that are taking place in world cricket that we have to be mindful of. There's the big three: India, Australia, and England, and they control almost everything. They control the rules. They will do things in a particular. If the finals were between South Africa and New Zealand, Zimbabwe, or West Indies, you book it show that they would have changed the rules around to ensure that one of the big three would have been in the finals. But the point that I want to make is at the end that Themba Bavuma, the captain of South Africa, the black captain, virtually made a comment like Nelson Mandela that, look, this is a victory for South African people. It's not just about cricket. It is about a case of oneness, what it can mean to unite all South Africa and so forth. And then subsequently, one of the commentators said that when they return to South Africa, the members of the team, whites and blacks, should be traveling together from city to city, township to township, holding the mace up and so forth, and celebrating the victory of South Africa. and or maybe even the South African post-apartheid experiment and where it is going. And it seems as if this is what they think. And then when I see the pride on the face of like the Sean Pollock and Graham Smith and all the past players and so forth, I said, this is beyond the boundary. This is more than cricket. This means a lot to the South African people. And in a sense, it means a lot. It should mean a lot to the people of the Caribbean and maybe Zimbabwe and other countries like that play Test cricket. And I really felt good and proud about it. And I was glad that even though that Aidan Markram was voted player of the match, that the contributions of two black persons, Bavuma got to, in both innings combined, he scored over 100 runs. And despite the fact that he had a muscle cramp, he stuck around to make it 65 runs or 66. And then Kagiso Rabada, he took 9 wickets for a little bit over 100 runs. And his bowling was exceptional, despite the fact that Australia had among the top bowlers in the world, the top 4 bowlers together, they have taken more than 1,000 wickets in Test cricket. So I just thought that is fantastic. Just 2 last quick comments I may just want to make, Cecil and Pigeon and Dr. Scott.
Yeah,
Just-
Joel, before
Okay,
you
go
go
ahead.
on,
Yes.
I don't want you to forget, but I think we need to deconstruct that whole cricket scenario you went through, because you might take it for granted that that 100% of our listeners know what you're talking about. I would say
okay.
to you that there's a significant percentage of the population who knows nothing of what you're talking about. So if we could just go back, firstly, let's deal with South Africa, because we could deal with West Indies anytime. And we need to let people to understand that South Africa was banned from international sports for many years, including cricket.
Yes.
And then we had a rebel team that went to South Africa. And the man who you mentioned, who did the runouts, Viv Richards, he did not go. In fact, just last week, he was interviewed and he said he empathized with those who went and he have no bad feelings to them. And that it was in 1996 that South Africa came back into the fold of international cricket.
92.
Yes, 1992, sorry, 1992. And that first game was against the West Indies at Kensington Oval. And
Where there was a boycott.
believe it or not, I was one of the persons in Kensington going around interviewing people in Kensington for Professor Sir Hilary Beckles as to why they choose Barbados and whether or not people should boycott the match. So that, in fact, it is the West Indies who helped South Africa re-enter into international cricket and help to boost South Africa in global cricket. So that we have come full circle to see the investment that we have given both as rebels and both in post-apartheid. And apartheid ended in 1993, officially. Mandela came out of prison.
No, it was
92?
It was before that. I think it was before that. It's either
Right.
90 or 91.
Mandela became president in 1993. So I
Yes.
just think we should put that.
Yeah, then
because
we have a
we think-
two-year period after that.
Yeah, yes, because some people might forget all of this history, especially with the recent thing with President Trump saying that you have what he calls them, Cecil?
No.
Why?
Something country?
No, the people who took it from South Africa.
the people in South Africa say basically that
Oh,
the white South Africans,
the Afrikaners who came?
are basically
69 of them or whatever. Yes.
who he brought
Who he brought over to,
to
yes.
the US. So they were being persecuted. And,
Yes, there's a genocide. Yeah.
Genocide,
Yeah,
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 he
yeah.
said
Yes.
that. And there is, well, basically, yes, Dr. Scott. I think that's it. And in fact, somebody shared on my phone here the thing saying the victory by South Africa over Australia is a slap in the face of Musk and Trump, who are trying to segregate. Yeah, let me just bring back my phone. Sorry about that. Who are trying to segregate the African people again. But we know that's Trump, and we'll come back to him in a while. But that's Trump and Musk. But yes, Dr. Scott, you put it into historical perspective.
May I just add to that perspective? It's so ironic. There are two things happening around that same time, and I think that there was a boycott, but not because there was a boycott against South Africa being allowed back into the fold and to play Test cricket and so forth. That was their first Test match. But it had to do with the whole Anderson Cummins, that Bajans were protesting that Anderson Cummins did not make the West Indies team. And they felt that it was sufficient, regardless of this occasion of where West Indies needed the support of West Indians as much as possible in this first Test match against South Africa, that they chose to boycott and so on. And I recall that basically there might have been Desmond Haynes was back on the team and so forth, and he might have been one of the few, if not the only one. Until I can't remember the full composition of the team. But what I do recall is that on the last day, the morning, that South Africa was virtually looking at victory. They were 122 for 2 or something like that. And they just had 40-something more runs or so to win the match. I think it was either 49 or 50, something like that. It was a small number. And Curtly Ambrose, in one of his devastated spells, turned everything around. I think he got like 6 wickets for 45 runs or something like that. And he turned a victory for defeat into a victory for the West Indies. And that this special lap of all the West Indian cricketers headed by Richie Richardson, who had also made unfortunate comments before when he was taking on South Africa, and he had actually said, well, it's just another match. I don't know if you recall that. But it was
Joel, if my memory right, that time you were what we call a postgraduate at UKVille.
Yes, that's correct. That is
John and so on. Yes.
So correct. So correct. And so that's the kind of thing that we would have to do. So that comes now that 33 years later, whatever it is, that we are glad and celebrated South Africa and so on in the West Indies Cup. It's the West Indies Cricket Championship. The World Cup Championship, is a 2-year cycle, right? And the best 2 teams in terms of the Test matches they would have won and so forth, would play each other in the finals. And this is the 3rd time. And so on, the first one was won by New Zealand, the second by Australia, and now the 3rd by South Africa. The start of the new cycle for the next World Cup Championship in Test cricket starts in a couple of days in the Caribbean. Australia, the mighty Australia, against the West Indies. It's interesting that is where it starts on its journey again. West Indies, I think, was ended up 8th out of 9 teams. With I believe it was just Pakistan that was below West Indies in this championship. I don't know where Zimbabwe was in the mix. If not, then it was Zimbabwe would have been 10th. But something I just wanted to say a couple very quickly. I checked the stats of the 11 players on the Australian team. All except 10 except 1 player, they were over the age of 30. They were over the age of 30, but they were playing cricket. I think the oldest was Khawaja, played at the age of 38, but some of the top stars were playing at 30, 35, 36, and so forth. Now, and it just came at a time when our supposed T20 star retired from playing for the West Indies at the age of 29. He called that George and decided, well, okay, I am going to be in the United States playing franchise cricket and so forth, where I'll make all the money. And it's an interesting dynamic to look at. That is one. The other point that I wanted to make in between the West Indies team and the Australian and South African team is that the majority of the Australian players in particular, the majority, play all format cricket. They play Test cricket, they play ODI, and they play T20. And they make the Australian team, the majority of them. Many of the South Africans, not all, but they also play all format cricket. But where in the Caribbean, where we are not so well resourced in terms of manpower and talent and so forth, we virtually split up. Maybe I'm not saying that they're right or wrong, but I'm just saying that this is what is happening in the Caribbean, that we split up into three. We have a T20 team, we have an ODI team, and we have a Test team. And we seem to be now failing at Test, ODI, and T20 at all, and so forth. And we, even though I believe that the new coach, Sam, is trying to bring more persons and let them straddle the different formats as much as possible. Talent is talent, and so on. But right now, that is how we are going. Persons are picking what one format and say that is where they're going to spend their focus and try and make money or do something of the sort. So it's a difference. And as we compare and contrast, and I know that we are playing the 50th, looking at what happened in 1975 and then what happened in 1979 and the victorious West Indies. And then after 79, not only did it didn't end in 1979. We went on for 15 years thereafter as champions of world cricket and so forth. It's not often that you can actually have any team, a national team, dominating a world sporting event as the West Indies would have done in with regard to cricket at the time. But now the reverse is what obtains, and it's a discussion.
So I want to bring three things to your attention. Firstly, at K-Ville, we have a course called The History of West Indies Cricket, which was developed by Professor Beckles, which I taught for many years. Also, when we had the Cricket High Performance Center, the Sagicor Cricket High Performance Center at K-Ville, before a new president shut it down, I also had the privilege of teaching it to West Indies cricketers. And so we don't have that anymore. And some people wonder if the cricketers are aware of our history and tradition. Also, at K-Ville, we produce a daily radio program called Today in Cricket History, where we look at the history of the West Indies cricket day by day. So that, for example, that 1975 World Cup victory, if it occurred and whatever day in June, on that day, we would speak about that, right? And I'm telling you, at some point, I'll send a script for you to read because you really love your cricket history. So we really appreciate you being a guest presenter, right, Cecil?
That's for me?
No, that's for Joel.
Oh, okay. Gentlemen, I just wanted to make one or two simple comments. First of all, somebody shared with us, Joel, that West Indies versus South Africa test in 1992, April 18 to 23. The results were as follows. West Indies 262 and 283. South Africa 345 and 148. West Indies won by 52 runs. That's what that information came from ESPN Cricket Information. So that's what the same person wants to find out who was the commentator in the piece we played. Do you remember who the commentator was?
No, I am not sure who the commentator was. If I know the voices of like Tony Cozy and Red Spur and so on, but it was
an English voice.
song. Yeah, the only person I could think of is the English/South African, who is Mike Hazeman, but I don't think Hazeman was around at that time. I'm not sure.
But that's the question the person asked. You mentioned the speech made by the captain, South African captain,
Temba Bavuma.
But yeah, and in it, I listened to it. In it, he talked about the character of what's his name, Markham.
Aidan Markram,
yeah, Markham. He talked about the character, and that is what stuck with me. the fact that he talked about the character of that particular player, but he talked about the character of the team itself. And it stuck with me because I sense is what we have lost in West Indies, cricket West Indies. It's particularly generally, and you mentioned the white ball and the red ball formats, and the fact that we're losing. I mean, as in West Indies losing, and that some players are preferring to go to play white ball because that's where the money is.
Mhm.
And again, as you said, that if you check Australia, the team yesterday, a lot of them played all three forms of cricket. And they're able, and even Markham, that's not his name. What's his name again? The same South African
Aidan
player.
Markram, yeah.
Markham, yeah. He plays all forms.
Yeah, in fact, he was the captain of the T20 team in the World
Right.
Cup in the West Indies
Yeah.
last year, when South Africa beat us in, I think it was in St. Lucia.
But he's able to just change with the circumstances and adapt to the circumstances. And again, it confirms what the captain of South Africa was saying: character. And that is, I'm sorry guys, but that's what I find lacking in many of West Indian players this year. They see the money and they go for it. Fair enough. But as far as they're concerned, Purim is a classic example. As far as they're concerned, the money rules, and money is what they go for. And they forget the fact that there is a thing called West Indies cricket, which was the roots for all the other forms of cricket, which West Indies dominated in the 80s and so on, until they were there in the 90s to some extent. But they have lost that history, which is Dr. Scott, the point you were making.
But
They've
that is
lost that history.
Professor Beckles has a book called West Indies Cricket in the Age of Nationalism. And he argues between the 1960s and the 1980s, West Indians played cricket for the nation state. Then he has another book called Cricket in the Age of Globalization. And in this text, he argues that we are in the global age, and in the global age, the dollar is what counts. Nationalism no longer matters. And that is what you're pointing to. It's well established, yet show me the money. And it is not only in cricket, it's in so many areas, Cecil. That's why we don't have a lot of community organizations. Me, you, Cecil, Pijan, Pijan was in cadets, JCs, all kinds of things. Well, Cecil, especially you were in so many different things. In the anti-apartheid movement, in the adult education movement, credit union, trade union, and that is something that I know people like us are trying hard to see if we could re-energize that.
It's difficult. It's a big challenge.
I think that is why I think we have to have a kind of an internalization, a process that starts in the schools in the Caribbean. I don't want to say St. Vincent Grenadines, start here. I saw, just digressing a little bit, I saw some videos, TikTok videos with Chinese table tennis players and so on. And I recall when I used to play table tennis in Montrose, we just go and we poke until we get ourselves in a skill where we can know how to spin and do different things with the ball. But they're the 3 and 4 year old and so on, and they have coaches and they're hitting the ball and they know that you have to even be able to know to use your feet and all that kind of stuff, right? All that is involved. And I'm just saying that's at the age of 4 and 5 and so forth. And we have to be able to say that what cricket means to us and so forth. And we got to be able to talk it in the schools. We have a time where it's on Friday or whatever in this, and make sure that it's incorporated into our curriculum and so on, because at the end of the day, education is not just about certification. It's about our role for taking our place in the social development and economic development of our country.
Incidentally, Consul General Huggins is sharing with us that the voice was that of John Arlott. I'm not sure that John Arlott had a very distinctive
that's not
voice.
John
I don't
Arlott.
think so.
He didn't
And I
think
don't
so.
think
John Arlott fits.
I don't remember John Arlott coming to he hardly ever came to the Caribbean. It might have been Henry Blofeld who sometimes came down for a few times just to witness this special occasion. I don't think it is John Hallett, and I think John Hallett was beginning to go down. He's to slow down at that time.
Yeah, but we can check it out. I mean, it's just that the voice was very
With
distinctive.
AI, it's all things are possible.
Yeah,
But nonetheless, good morning, Fitz. Thanks for joining us.
yeah, he always does. Invariably, he's coming back. But West Indies cricket, and that's where we are. And I am not. I'm not. Well, I don't think anybody is excited about West Indies cricket these days. People listen. I watch the matches and I listen, but in terms of beating your chest and so on, not these days.
No, I
Which is
think
unfortunate.
I think it will take a while, and I think that West Indies cricket, Cecil Pichana and Cleve Scott, that we have to go all the way back right down into our school system. It doesn't start with those at 16, 17, or 18. It starts with children at the age of 5, 6, and 7.
But Cricket West Indies itself got to put
but-
some investment.
Yeah,
into
I
that.
understand it, but at that particular age, our sports clubs, our Ministry of Sports, our governments, our school system, that is where it has to begin. And so
Yeah,
forth.
but it doesn't mean that Cricket West Indies
No,
can
I'm
put
not
resources
saying no,
into
but
it.
you
Right,
cannot.
but I agree.
You
it-
cannot
it begins-
divulge the role of the responsibility of our respective territorial administrations.
No, it begins there. I mean, there's no doubt. We all agree that. But resources got to be put into it because nothing can happen without resources. It can't. And I mean, we all have to admit that the governments in the region, they have put a lot into cricket.
Yeah, they put it into infrastructure.
Right. And that
Yeah.
to me is part of the investment that needs to be made.
Yes. Yeah, of course. But I'm just saying that at the end of the day, we can't, because we have to say if it means anything to us, we got to do what we have to do. We can't have children go, like even with women's cricket. I see that the talent. I went to the women's cricket at the Blaze tournament at Annesvale a month ago. And I see there's talent there. But when I see them Bostonese women play against England in England, I said, oh God, we are the talent, but we're not up to the standard yet. Because we're not even playing the cricket in our schools. You go to any of none of the girls in our secondary schools have ever held a bat in their hand. And so forth. We have boys even in the school, we used to enter cricket. I have a situation with son who never held a bat or cricket ball in his hand at the age of 14.
Yeah. So I was sorry. I just
I would say to you, Joel, that I was just in New York and we had a meeting on behalf of the Barbados Consul General and the Barbados Tourism. And one of the things we spoke about is supporting U.S. cricket team with Barbadian players and coaches, because I would say to you that Barbados, in my assessment, has the best system set up for cricket. They have a serious program. They have competitions at all levels from ages 7, 8, right up. And part of that too is geography, that they have playing fields all over. And like places like St. Vincent, we have to fight hard, build playing fields. And even when we build them, rain comes, you have land slippage and so on. But that does not give an excuse to, as you say, that the Cricket West Indies, who is making all of this money now, right? All of this money now, they need to use more of that money to fund places like St. Vincent, Dominica, Grenada, and they have not been doing it. So much so that the model that we had in, well, I would change what I was going to say, because the reality historically, St. Vincent and the Grenadines was one of the leading cricketing nations up until the first test. Everybody should know about Richard Oliver and Charlie Oliver, and then we have Alfie Roberts and Mike Finley and so on. But per capita, now in this 21st century, we have seemed to have disappeared off the cricket map.
Yeah, in the Windward, just to add to you, when we picked a Windward Islands team, we virtually had 5 or 6 Vincentians playing on that team. I mean, I'm just talking not too long ago when they had people like Gunny Hines and Lance John and Linton Lewis and Winston Davis and others. That's not too long ago, and so on. And even going over into the Combined Islands team, the Windward and the Leewards, quite often we had 3 or 4 persons in at that level. Now, in the cricket now, for the Windward Islands team, that you'd find most of the players coming from St. Lucia and Grenada.
You're
forth.
so correct. Not too long ago, when I went to teach at grammar school, Lennox John, who was then the principal, he gave me a form with all 30 cricketers. and that 30 cricketers, they basically know the people who control cricket. I got Carl Kenson Stoddard, Romel Currency, even Kashaka Cupid, who's now entered into politics. All of these were in the same form, and they are the ones who virtually know the helm. Then I had Bob Alston Bob, who became a good spinner for the Windwards and who played for the CCC. So you're totally correct that if we invest enough in the primary school, and it not only applies to cricket, it applies to every aspect. Most of the musicians that we have now, I taught so many of them at the Lowman School, and then they moved on to secondary school with a solid foundation, and they are now on cruise ships and now playing in bands and so on. We need to pay more to the grassroots, to the basic level. P. John, you're a teacher, you ain't saying nothing, man.
I listening.
No, but gentlemen, persons who are listening, and we're going to give a chance for people who are listening to come in a while. But I insist that if I own a product and I'm marketing that product at the top, I would have an interest in creating the product at the very start. And that's what I mean by I say Cricket West Indies needs to invest more in the development. Somebody's reminding us here that they don't even, do they have a scholarship? Do they have a scholarship? Cricket West Indies have a scholarship?
To do go where to do what?
Just like in basketball or football, young people get
well, in a way
scholarship.
that no.
Well,
but-
hold on, let me finish. Young people get scholarship to go abroad. I mean, I know a number of young people who got scholarship to play basketball in the United States while studying. And I don't know that Cricket West Indies does that.
Well, yeah, okay, but let me answer that question,
yeah,
right?
yeah.
And I want to say something else because I think we have to take the whole thing into context, right? That first of all, they have coaching programs, they have a mentorship arrangement, they have the whole, like Scott mentioned a while ago about the CCC and so forth. So they actually have a number of programs to take care of young cricketers. And
But
so
Joel, basketball offers a whole set of programs.
No, but wait, I'm
on that particular point, I have to clarify it.
Oh, boy.
Because Basket Federation here in St. Vincent has over the years and have workshops and so on. Here, Cricket West Indies does that. But I am talking about something beyond that, because Basketball Federation arranges for players to go overseas with scholarship and develop their art and also study. They do it.
Yes, and I'm just saying that they basically, those basketball we playing, or the athletes, for example, they would basically be like Handel Roban and so on. They're studying and they're running in the NCAA and so forth. But in cricket, there's no such program like that per se. Let me finish.
Go ahead. I'm not interrupting.
But I'm just saying, but they do a lot for young people and they move the best cricketers around regionally. Maybe I think that if I can just support that, maybe what we need to get some of these young cricketers into England, into special programs like in the days of Viv Richards and Andy Roberts.
Well,
Like
both Joel and Cecil,
yeah.
The current arrangement for the last 10 years is that they enter the UE in the CCC. I have the opportunity to talk to many of them, including Warrican's son, Joel Warrican, Professor Warrican, who has now become the
West Indies vice captain.
president, the vice
Vice
captain.
captain.
Yeah. I mentioned Currency. There's so many of them.
Went
Most
to
of
UE.
the players now, gentlemen, have come through the CCC, which means they studied all kinds of things I'll keep it. For example, currency, he studied economics. I can't remember what Warwick studied. There's so many of them. I didn't know we were going to have this discussion because I could bring the names and tell you. That is the system. So once you're a very good cricketer, the UE would take you in for free and you play for the UE and you would go and play in England. So for example, Warwick spent many summers, many years playing in England. But there's another challenge which we didn't mention. The fact is, many persons who had the opportunity to play for the West Indies, if they have a different nationality, they would play for another team. I could tell you an example. There's a youngster named Che Simmons. His father is Wayne Simmons, famous DJ radio announcer, very good friend of mine. And I'm not giving you secondhand because I followed Che's career. He was playing in England during the summers. He was born in England, but he has Bajan nationality. And he told me he is going to play for England. And he has been signed for England for 6 years, so that by the time he matures, now in the West Indies, we do not do that. So I think, Cecil, that's your point. You're pointing to that we do not have a coherent system to make sure that we capture the talent early, as we do in athletics and in basketball and so on. So you're correct that we need to become more scientific and consistent with our approach of how we nurture talent and go through, right? Because I would say to you, I mentioned the 30 cricketers that I had in the class in grammar school, and I hope one of them could be listening and calling. And one day I had a discussion with them and said to them, you won't play cricket for all your life. And being a historian, I was able to show them example of famous cricketers, and then after cricket ended, their life just disappeared. Unfortunately, so many of them took my advice, and after cricket, they now have a career. And as I said, that is why people like Currency can be the president of SVG Cricket Association. Highly qualified, knows cricket, understands management and all of these things. Back to you, Cecil.
May I just add something that I just want to ask. The West Indies cricket, CWI, Cricket West Indies, as far as I'm aware, injects money into the coaching programs in the territories. And they cover the cost of a number of things taking place in St. Vincent, including to keep the officer and so forth. There are a number of things in which they actually invest in cricket at a particular level and so forth, and targeting young people as well. So it is true that there's money spent. It is also true that they could be doing more. But I think, however, that there needs to be a collaboration between all the respective authorities whom you would expect to help to lift West Indies cricket up, involved in the process. I say that you mentioned, Dr. Scott, about the pro in Barbados. I know that Trinidad and so on has also been doing quite a bit with regard to cricket and so on in Trinidad and so forth. But they've been focusing primarily on T20s and T10s and so on. But there are a lot of persons involved in cricket in Trinidad. But I'm just basically saying, let's come together. Let's talk about it at all levels. Who is responsible for getting programs started? Let's sit down and talk about it. And let's see, rather than just trying to what I'm perceiving to be as if, well, it is to say, well, okay, the blame rests with one party only and not any other. I think when you think about it, all of us need to get together for the sake of this sport that has meant so much to us West Indians. That last thing I just wanted to mention, it disappoints me greatly. Like, there's a match, West Indies played T20 against England, and there was Barbadian Roston Chase bowling to Barbadian, not Graham Bettel, but or maybe Graham was his father. Bettel, and so forth, who actually was born in Barbados, learned his formative cricket in Barbados, and at 13, 14 went to England and decided that he was going to play for England. There have other occasions too when Shea Hope is batting and he's facing the same Bettel. We have had cases where you had Bettel and Archer and Jordan playing on the English team against the West Indies, and sometimes you see even like, and so you say, well, something is wrong with this movie. And I think that is something what we have to do in terms of the minds of our people. We have to get these things in early about the whole nationalism.
Well, Roland
No, but,
Butcher,
those
Roland
things
Butcher.
happen. Those things happen back in the days when West Indies dominated. They happened.
Roland Butcher just put out a new book.
So what is? I don't understand.
Yeah, no, but I'm making the point that those things happened money was slightly different back then, but I'm making the point now that even we will go through the peaks and the troughs. And I said, even when we are in the trough, that we still have to try and instill the pride. And the franchise cricket is what is good about it, is that it still allows to put money. The English, Australian, and the Indians, they pay their test cricketers a lot more money than the West Indies, right? And that is the reality. But there's enough money in franchise cricket, if you're good, that you can say you can also put offset it against any deficit that you might made in playing cricket for the West Indies. When you put everything together, you can still make the millions.
But the point you were making, Inan, you made a point earlier when you said that when you check the Australian team that played yesterday, a lot of them play the three forms of cricket.
Yes.
So why can't West Indian do the same thing? Why can't those who play for us, why can't they do the same thing?
Well,
take for example Pooran.
Well, one of the reasons Pooran, as I say, the Pooran is basically just focusing on the dollar.
No, others as
no,
well.
No, but you mentioned Pooran. So
But I'm just
Pooran, and so on. So that is one of the reasons why, and that we have to be able to say that you can make your money. No, West Indies, CWI is not invoking the NOC, the no objection certificate or anything like that to prevent you from playing in franchise cricket. You're not being prevented from playing franchise. You can play franchise cricket, and you can make the money to make up for any deficit that you feel that you would have in with regard to test cricket and so forth. And we can structure this thing where you can move in and out.
It has to happen. It has to happen from the top down. Yeah,
and the
top has to be aware of the historical significance of West Indies cricket, fully aware, or better aware, if you like, and fit it with the development.
And I say there's a tripartite approach and it is required.
Yeah, but
at the top is not just CWI. It is also there's CARICOM and the respective governments are also.
In all fairness, Joel, you don't think the governments of the region have done enough?
Yes, you're missing.
I won't say the government, in fact, the people of the region have put enough into creating the infrastructure on which the cricket is based in, has done that from a long time, especially now.
You're missing the point that I'm trying to make, Cecil, and I'm trying to
let me hear again.
I am trying to make the point
that
you have to take on a balanced approach. If you're going to solve this problem and so forth, we have to be able to address it on all fronts. And the infrastructure, which I call project, right, by itself, also needs to be married with program. And
but what you're saying there, but sometime last year, just before the series of matches took place in the Caribbean here, Dr. Gonzalez, Prime Minister Gonzalez, and Dr. Shallow on this program.
Yes.
And that is what they talk about. And I remember Dr. Gonzalez pointing to what the government has done and is doing for cricket.
Yes, and I'm
precisely.
Yes,
but that is happening. That's making it is.
Let me come in.
No.
I'm finding difficulty. I'm just telling you, I'm finding difficulty.
Well, fine. That's okay. But other people who are listening would understand the point I'm making.
Joel is totally correct. Joel is totally correct.
Yeah.
And that is the cause of the contention between Cricket West Indies and the governments for the last how many years, which the Cricket West Indies is trying to address.
Dr. Scott, before go on, what is the nature of the contention?
Cricket West Indies insists that cricket belongs to them.
Okay.
That the people must keep out and the government must keep out. Cricket West Indies does not consult with the populace, with the grassroots, with sports teachers. Cricket West Indies is no different from how it was invented by the planters, right? It is still an elitist organization control. You just really, how many boards that vote, Cecil? How many boards do we have, right? How many cricket boards do we have?
I don't know how many offhand we have in Trinidad.
You have
Jamaica,
Windward.
Barbados, Windward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How many? How many?
Six? Is that six?
Six. So if you're having a vote of majority, how many you need?
If it's 6, you need 4.
4. So 4 men determine the destiny and the trajectory of our cricket.
That's
When
my
in fact
point.
cricket belongs to 50 million West Indians at home and abroad. And that is the root of the problem.
That's
And-
not the root of the problem. That's not the root of the problem, Dr. Scott. But I think that I have.
Anyway,
all I
guys,
just appeal-
I just played that clip to remind us of the glory days. And look here, but I want to remind us substantially the discussion is about innovation in Vinci Mass. So I want us to be mindful
we're
of that.
discussing all of this as Caribbean culture, cricket.
Yeah.
Culture.
Well, yeah, but it wasn't meant to be the focus
Yes,
of the
okay.
discussion this morning.
But for us,
It was meant
it's
to
like
be-
religion and politics to us.
no, well, it wasn't meant to be the focus, Dr. Scott, and you would know that because
Yeah.
you are on here this morning to focus on the innovation.
But before we do that,
Yeah.
I want to make one acknowledgement. This week, we had a visit by a gentleman of the name of Dennis Bovell. Those of you who follow reggae music would know he's one of the legends in reggae music, born in Barbados. And I never knew he was married to a Vincentian from Sion Hill. So he was here on vacation with his Vinci wife
When you say here, meaning Barbados or in Vinci?
in St. Vincent.
Oh, okay.
Come on, anytime I say here, I mean Vinci.
Well, I don't
Anyway,
know.
I'm
Right now,
Vincent.
no, right now you're in
This is a
Barbados.
virtual space.
So-
Mr. Ed.
all right,
Well,
so in
you know, man,
Vinci.
this is a virtual space.
All right, so he was in Vinci last
Yeah.
week. Last week.
Yeah. So
Okay.
Willis Williams of Touch fame, along with Andre Liverpool, we organize what would we call it? A session at the Curator's Hut in Gardens, where we could talk about his career and give advice as to where we can go. And in that regard, I want to thank WeFM, particularly Rajiv, Jules and Susan for the support in having this activity. Also, I saw in town Cap Stevens. You saw him, Joel?
Yes, I did. I met with him, and it is good to see him, especially at this time of the year, the season, and so on. And what I admired also about Cap, and it kind of ties back in with the whole question of nationalism and so forth, that he has been here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines with his US-born son, who, and one of the primary objectives of being here is to ensure that the son is gets his status as a citizen of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and so forth. And he wants to ensure that he has that that Vincentian passport, which has been made easier by the fact of the legislative trust
amendment.
yes, which allowed the first generation children to get their citizenship with little difficulty.
Right. Also, in tongue, it's Bort Walker of Exodus fame. You saw him too, Joel? Bort?
No, not as yet.
Yeah, Bort, the Congo man, leader, manager of Exodus. And I understand from Willis that Exodus is planning some event later this year. I'm sure the promoters would. Scorcher is in tongue as well, Scorcher. The Party Fever man. Well, Joel, you have to remind people of these things, you know, but Scorcher and Party Fever. People don't know these things.
Yes, 1981, I think.
And he practically won the road match in Trinidad. But at
Yeah,
that time,
not officially.
yeah, at that time, non-Trinidad is going to win the road match. So people don't think it started just yesterday. All right. That's my preliminary. Now, it's carnival time. And last year around this time, we were on WeFM with a number of persons from Carnival, and the Prime Minister joined us. And at that time, we discussed a number of things, including raising the various prize monies. Do you remember that, Cecil?
Yes, of course.
And I don't know if persons know that the government, in fact, raised the prize monies. We spoke about innovations, getting some of the shows out of Victoria Park. And I'm happy to report that I am overwhelmed with the level of innovation and investment in Carnival 2025. And I want to publicly, first of all, thank the Prime Minister, Dr. the Honorable Ralph E. Gonsalves, for this commitment to our culture. Also, I think
For keeping the the pledge. But sorry,
anyhow
sorry.
you want to put it, keeping the
Yeah.
pledge of commitment. And I think Joel had a hand in some of this too. So I want to thank Joel. Particularly, I'm impressed with the restructuring of the Carnival Development Corporation in the office. I see we have a festival director, we have a marketing manager, we have a commercial manager, and all of this is in keeping with modern business development. And people might say, well, you're a historian, you know about these things. For those who don't know, I studied business and I've been involved in all kinds of business all of my life, especially innovations. So I want to congratulate the persons involved in that. Also, on arrival at the E.T. Joshua last Wednesday.
No,
I
hold
was
on.
overwhelmed.
You
Sorry,
said
not
E.T. Joshua?
Come on. Yeah, E.T. Joshua. Everybody know me in Argyle.
No.
You remember,
No, everybody
Bishop
doesn't know what you mean. Say what you mean.
Bishop Free?
Huh? What's that?
Bishop Free. Bishop Free say Jonah swallowed the whale. He said, no, not so. He said something. But you know these things.
We're not talking
You know these
spiritual
things.
Baptist business this morning, Dr. Scott.
Yeah, everybody know me in Argyle
Okay, so
International.
Argyle International.
You do
yes.
these things to keep the entertainment and the laughter.
Yeah.
And so on. But the airport was well decorated. I saw boom drummers, stilt walkers, steel pan dancers, singers, performers. It was indeed.
But Dr. Scott,
A sight
even a
to
man,
behold.
I see a man with a cart.
I didn't see the cat.
I saw it. Yeah.
That's good if you have a cat and if we could get to a roller. you know,
Yes.
that's all
Yes.
right. But I'll say to you that what we have at the airport outstrips what I've seen in many countries in the region for the carnival. It's indeed a splendor, and I congratulate all of the persons involved in this. Then we go to Calypso. Oh, sorry, I forget the CEO. Yeah. Rodney's doing a magnificent job. Rodney Small. He calls himself Steel Pan Boss, but today I'm going to rename him Carnival Boss.
All right.
He is the boss of Carnival. He's
But
no longer the
he-
boss of Steel Pan.
Except he would tell you that credit also goes to his team, the team who works with him.
Yes, I've already recognized the team, the festival director,
Okay, all right.
marketing manager, all the fellas, people like Rupert and the ground, all the guys on the ground, they know that. I
So
go
also
day to
young
day of the
people.
project, right? Then Calypso, we had a wonderful seasons of the preliminary. All the shows Calypso were well attended. We had many good Calypsos. Don't make anybody tell you any foolishness. We had entertaining Calypso. We even had traces of traditionalism. One of the nights, one of the performers dressed like a woman, and some people didn't understand that is a part of the tradition of our carnival cross-dressing. It goes way back hundreds of years, right? I want to recognize also Junior Mason and his song company, NLA Song, wonderful job. Ezra, the engineer, and I always have a problem when people giving thanks and they never thank the engineer. All my years in Victoria Park, when they're giving thanks, and you reach half a year and call my name, you know what I used to do, Cecil?
Turn down this song.
Exactly, because you used to be there with me. And then suddenly, yeah. No, Joel, he used to be there with me sitting next to me.
Sometimes,
And then
sometimes.
suddenly, they remember I am there. So I want to give kudos to all those persons, all the tent leaders and so on. Soca, I was reliably informed that we had close to 200 entrants. And I don't know if they announced the semifinals yet, but having so many entries mean people really are interested. We're not going to debate the quality, but we have to celebrate the enthusiasm. Mass, I'm also impressed that people like Blondie Board, as usual, was early, and he's doing some tributes he told me this year. Links, I had a chance to visit Links with my partner Santana, and they have a bar on Bay Street that is next to you, lower down where used to be
Eustace Auto Supplies.
right? So people, if you're interested in supporting MassPass, okay, and I saw that my friend Gart Dishang, the president or chairman of the CBA, I
That
pushed the
nice.
door and went into his meetings by accident. So they're doing a fantastic job. Pan, Hero, and I understand Bishop College, they're doing a touch song this year. So Jules, me, Brian, and Willis already planning to visit Bishop College and give the youngsters some support. So that's it in a nutshell.
But hold on, Bishop's College is coming back. That's what did they last year? They're coming back this year.
I can't remember. I didn't think about it. I can't
Mm.
remember. I was in Panorama, but I cannot clearly remember.
Okay.
Yes. But all in all, we are looking good. Some of the shows are no longer in Victoria Park and so on. I don't know if Joel has the program and the location and that kind of thing. I don't have it in front of me. I know for sure the Calypso semifinals is in the area of the what we call the cruise ship boat, officially next to the Grenadines Wharf in that area. And we hear that they're going to put in a lot of infrastructure in the event of rain and all of these kinds of things. Therefore, we look out to a fantastic Calypso semifinals. And the Soca preliminaries, I understand, is happening on the tarmac next weekend. And
Is it the preliminary or the semi-final? Dr. Scott, is it the preliminary or the semi-final?
Semi-finals. The preliminary
Yeah.
was held in Victoria Park
Right.
on Friday evening.
Friday.
Yeah. Joel, you found the official program?
No, I wasn't looking for it yet, but
Well, if
we'll get it. We'll have
if
it.
Rodney is listening to the program, he may wish to call us and give us or Denny, one of those two persons.
Can I come in at this point just to
Yeah,
add
yeah,
to what you said? In terms of the program, first of all, the idea about the launch at the tarmac was fantastic. They did a great job. We spoke about the launch already on this program and so forth, and I think it just showed, where we can go and so forth when talent and so on come to talent, resources, and vision come together. The start of Carnival with an event called Rum and Rhythms. I thought, and I think it's a great idea. As much as I love the Calypso and so forth, I didn't think that necessarily the launch pad for the launching of the actual festival itself should be with the Calypso semifinals, and it should really need a nice good event that can give a hype, the right atmosphere, the ability of people to interact and feel the culture and so on, and feel Vincy Mas and say, yes, Vincy Mas is here again, and so forth. And I think that is the way it should go. And it has all the components, all the elements of Carnival present in this one event. And I really think that it's a great idea. And I trust that all the events, and I think as well that the CDC, headed by Ricky Adams, with a great team, and then you have Mr. Small, Rodney Small, as the CEO, that they're very conscious and sensitive of all the dynamics of Carnival and what has been happening over the years, and recognize that we have to have a collaboration between the CDC events, the traditional components, as long with the private promoters and so on, because they are a fixture, what do you call it, all inclusive or whatever, however these events are shaped, that they're all part of the Vincy Mas experience, and that we all have to work together, supporting one another, promoting one another, and so on, to create a festival that is different to what takes place in any of the other Caribbean islands, something that is different and better. And I think that we are on our way. We heard talk about Scotty about the extension of Vincy Mass, and some persons were asking, well, is it more holidays past the Mardi Gras Carnival Tuesday and so forth? So I think it would be important to share information on the extension. And if you don't have it, that maybe someone, when Rodney or someone else can call in, Ezzy or whoever, and call in and say, well, what is expected to take place specifically beyond the Carnival Tuesday and so forth. I think that is also important. One last comment that I wanted to add to what you said has to do with the organizational flexibility to ensure that, or the expansion of resources being used and so on. And I thought that the idea is a good one, and the support of the Minister of Culture. And by the way, I think that we have an excellent Minister of Culture, and so on, to make sure that these things happen. And I like how they would be able to incorporate the members from the Department of Culture, working closely with the CDC and so forth. So you have persons like this Juanita Phillips, Kato, and Randy Bomani Charles, and so on, adding their skills and talents and so forth to the work of the CDC itself. And I'm sure that their participation is also helping to push what promises to be a great Vincy Mass. It's one thing to have the ideas and so forth. It's another thing to have the resources somewhere. But when you have the talent, when all the elements come together, you're bound to create something that persons would be proud of and say. And I think that we are on our way. And I am appreciative of this program discussion this morning. And I'm sure that there's a lot more to feel. And I think generally that there's a positive feel, a positive vibe about Vincy Mass 2025.
Yeah, Dr. Scott, you coming back? Or
Well, Pigeon, the whole morning ain't saying nothing except pulling his beard. I don't know.
Pigeon is listening, but I want to open up though to persons who are listening. They may wish to make a contribution as well, not only to this particular part of our.
Oh, sorry, I forget one person. I could forget all Kaba Bennett. Yes, Kaba has been doing a wonderful job with Calypso. You saw that he had me organize the judging workshop and all of that.
That's
so
right.
And the way he coordinated the preliminaries and all that, both in New York with the Dynamites, and I forgot the Dynamites. I'm very impressed with the level of organization with the Dynamites organization in New York. My friend Carlos Rejector Providence and all the others in the team, they did a big booklet, Joel, I don't know if you saw it. Rejector, if you can send them some, so I could give one to Mr. Ryan and Mr. Providence.
I want Rejector to send one straight for me.
Right, Cecil, back to you.
And I'm sure he will.
When you get yours, Dr. Scott, you can collect mine and bring it when you come back to. Are you going to be judging?
Yeah.
Well, you can bring mine.
You'll see me before you wing twice.
Oh, okay.
But let me just redirect a question to Dr. Scott, because content matters, right?
Of course.
And basically the content in terms of I think you spoke about the Calypso, and you made a preliminary comment about the preliminaries of the Soca Monarch and so on. We don't know where we're going with the mass and so on. And there sometimes we raise questions in the recent past, as in which direction our mass is going. You know, we talk about the feather bands versus the traditional mass and what to do. And some of the traditional bands try to incorporate feathers into their costumes and so forth, where we're going generally and so on. What I have liked about the mass band as a whole is the organization has improved tremendously. Just want to know to see what the display is on the streets. I have a concern about the king and queen of the bands and so on, like on the Dimanche Grand Night, when it at midnight or when after the Calypso competition is finished, that the park is virtually empty. and persons, a few persons associated with the mass band, associated with the bars, and maybe the persons who are doing radio commentary. That's what the park is like to see these costumes. And I would like to see a different arrangement being made with those costumes, and that we can actually have them not just on the street on Carnival Tuesday, but that we can see those. Don't destroy them. We should be able to see them on the Wednesday, the Thursday, the Friday, where in some prominent position, whether it's at Annisvale or somewhere else, so that we can, before they go back, they might want to even take pictures in front of the costumes and so on, because a lot of work, a lot of effort, a lot of creativity have gone into creating these costumes. And I think that to spend so much effort and time and money for 5 minutes on the stage in Dimanche Gras Sunday night, I think it's not worth it. And I think that we should be able to do something more about that, something different, so that the life and the beauty of these costumes should be seen by all visitors and homegrown locals alike. In terms of the Calypso, I heard
You're going to comment on Calypso now when the judging has not what do you mean a day? I mean, preliminary is done, but
no,
Go
yeah,
ahead.
no, I
Go
was
ahead.
making a general comment about the mass,
okay.
and I was going to make a general comment about the Calypso as a whole. I wasn't going to single out anything.
Okay.
I was going to single out anything. No, in terms of the Calypso, Dr. Scott said that he is pleased about the standard. There are 24 persons in the semifinals. I just happened to note by Cecilia, if it's okay, could I just mention that the upstage is 10 persons?
Oh, well, go ahead.
All right. I'm just saying for what it's worth. And then graduates 6, Onto 6, and Dynamites 2. I think that adds up to 24. I believe that's what it
Gentlemen, there's a call. I want to
Okay.
take this person, and then we can go from there. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon. This is Bethel. I send the name of the semi-final. Who
I
get picked
saw
for the
it.
semi-final?
I
On
saw it.
WhatsApp.
Yeah, I saw it, and I also said respond by
Yeah.
saying thanks.
Is that just all right? Okay.
That's all you're saying?
Yeah, I didn't listen to the program, so I hear talking about the semi-final. I didn't get the thing, so I sent it on WhatsApp for you.
Yeah, I saw it, and thanks again. But what do you think about the standard of the Calypsos this
It
year?
was good, but I was looking for the boy Christopher in the semi-final too. So he make it.
Who boy Christopher?
Liquor Cracer.
You calling from Layu?
No, I call him from Kingston Hill, Bethel.
Oh, okay, all right.
No, but I follow the the preliminary wrong. So it was good. It was a good Calypso this year.
Were you in the tent? Did you go to the tent?
No, I watched it on Facebook.
So how come you didn't go to the tents?
I don't like sit down to
Hold on, Dr.
please.
Scott. Sorry, you don't like what?
No, well, when I'm going in the tent, feel boring and so that I stay home.
But it's the same thing you see when
Then wake up and listen. No, when I do it different.
it's different?
Yeah.
Okay, all right. Hold on, Dr. Scott wants to say
I
something.
want to know if it's better touching. Better use who touching about?
No, she wasn't born yet.
Any days.
She wasn't born yet.
Brian, any days.
Is Brian put the name in the song?
I can remember Touch was up Tongue Hill in a building up there, and I used to go and listen to them practice.
Oh, okay.
All right, then
But
better.
Brian is with. All right, have a good day. I listen to the program.
You gone? All right then.
Cecil,
Thanks for calling.
Rodney would like to call anytime we could accommodate him.
Yeah, well, we can accommodate him now because there are a number of questions he has to answer. Yes, Rodney, Rodney, yes, you can call us now. We will shortly will accommodate you. Dr. Scott, we're going to have Rodney calling in, so
Yeah.
Better
Yeah.
is from the days of Touch, man.
Yes, and see her memories inscribed in
In music,
that
music.
song. Eh?
Song, yes.
Hey, Joel, you let out the secret.
I just wanted to say that in terms of the calypso, but that we still have young people to continue the traditional calypso.
Yeah.
So we have a couple youngsters. So that's good, and making it as far as the finals and so forth. But right now we have 2 or 3 making it to the semifinals, and that is
How
good.
about the gender
I think
balance in the
this-
semi-final?
We have this looks like Rodney, so let's take the call and
Gender
go on from there.
balance.
Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Pleasant good afternoon, blessed Sunday.
Yeah, to you too.
One and all.
Yeah,
You too.
happy Father's Day,
Small.
Mr. Small.
Thank you very much, Joel. I saw your message that I was dealing with the auditors for the Raga Soca and the Soca release.
Okay.
So we have Rodney. If you are listening, I'm not sure, but you have Dr. Scott as well on video link. So he's in Barbados.
Yeah,
but
man,
he's-
good day.
yeah. So yes, a number of
Tune in.
questions are being posed. First of all, the program for the year. I mean, for the season.
Mm-hmm.
Vincy Mass program for the season. That was one question. Can you share with us, with our listeners?
Yeah, I could share with you in terms of verbally, or you want me to send it for you?
Well, you can do both, really, if it's convenient for you to do that. Yeah.
Yeah. I could send it for you guys, and I could go through it one by one.
Right.
Yeah, go ahead.
right.
If you have that time,
Yes.
if the time permits.
Yes, the time will.
Well, this coming Sunday. We are doing the Soca Monarch semi-finals, which we dub Bacchanal Day. It's a daytime event, a cool effect event, a beach activity where we're going to be seeing 22 Raga Soca finalists and 22 Soca finalists. Of course, all going up to go into the finals of the Soca Monarch. That event is really $30 at the E.T. Joshua Tarmac, where we're going to create a more of a beach atmosphere. And one of the things is that going back to the drawing board with the shows committee, we thought that we can also embrace some of these daytime events, and just to see how persons would gravitate to it. One of the things that Joel and I did as a session is looking at the appeals and the desire and the interest of our audience. And when we did few surveys on social media, some persons were really asking for daytime events, and outside of that, it's before artists. So we saw the value in starting the event earlier because the next day is a working day, which is the Monday. So that's really the overall concept for that event. We're also bringing in a guest judge from St. Lucia, Mr. Teddyson John, who has a background in judging. He's also a music major in performance. He has an associate degree in that area, and of course he's also a soca artist, as persons may know. So he's coming as a guest judge and a performer to end things off on that night. So that's June 22nd, Sunday, June 22nd, next week Sunday, at the E.T. Joshua Tarmac on the southern end.
And
right.
I remember the last time you were on, Rodney, one person, when you went off, raised the concern and not an observation, let me put it this way, that there was not adequate covering for persons who, in case of rain. Have you addressed that issue? And how about the parking?
Of course.
Tell us, tell our listeners so we know.
We're going to have fully covered areas, one for whole intent for rain and one to cover the main, what we would call a dance area. So persons can look forward to that. So even if you're not under the dance area, there are some other whole intents that you can go and shelter if there's rain or even the sun. And because as I said, it's a daytime event. We're going to have a lot of beach umbrellas. We're going to be creating some cabanas with some rooftop made out of coconut branches with some tarpaulin covers. So, I mean, from the last event and from the program which we spoke about, we've really implemented some of these stuff if we're actually moving it out of Victoria Park. We're also going to be putting in more porta potties, which that was also a concern from the last event at the tarmac. And parking would be on the entire E.T. Joshua Tarmac, and we're going to have a shuttle coming down for those persons who don't want to park directly in the venue area where we're going to create. So you can get a shuttle from the top of the tarmac, come all the way down for those who are not driving also, because it could be a bit of a long walk. So we're going to implement those things for Bacchanal Bay.
Mhm.
Yeah.
All right. So sounds good.
Just,
And then
just before you go on to the next
go ahead.
event, the setup and so forth. You're going to be taking it down right after. Or it's going to be around for a little while.
No, we have to come down right after because there's another event, a private event that is going to be utilizing the same area.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, the concept really is we're going to create a beach atmosphere, and I know a lot of folks have been asking how we're going to get that done. But I mean, we have some really good creatives around the CDC who have already sketched it and really start putting things in place from a logistics standpoint.
So you know, Rodney, that people will be coming dressed for the beach.
Yeah, so that's why we're creating that bay. We're creating the bay.
All right. Okay.
And it's directly next to the beach also, right? If you know the tarmac, the area that we are talking about,
Yes.
there's a beach there. So we're basically utilizing that atmosphere and then creating something within the venue itself. I mean, so you might come and see a sun, you might see beach and all of that, because we're going to put in a volleyball pit. So persons can play some volleyball. We're going to put in some water slides. We're going to be putting in some lifeguards just to in terms of the theme and concept. So we're going to see a lot of those things.
Remind me what time it starts? Sorry, Rodney. Sorry.
2 p.m. 2 p.m. and we finish at 9 p.m.
Okay.
Yeah. So there are other attractions outside of the actual competition, which I was just explaining. I mean, so there's some adult games, so you can come and play some dominoes. You can there's going to be a pool table. There's going to be 2 major water slides. There's going to be a pool. There's going to be a volleyball pit. There's going to be some fruit stalls. So quite a number of different things. A coconut stall. So persons can come and experience and have that feel of like if you're on the beach.
Yeah,
all right. So the next one is what?
We're going to have lots of bar space too, right?
Lots of
bar space. You don't have to take long to get a drink.
Quench.
Well, it's a cooler effect. But we're going to have two standard bars outside of the cooler effect. So persons are allowed to bring their own cooler.
And vendors would be around, would be allowed. Vendors?
Yeah, but it would be obviously outside of the venue.
You're right.
Like what we did for the launch. There's going to be a place where vending can happen. But I would also stress that there's a no bottle policy, which we're going to be putting out a notice on tomorrow for the public. So even here, it's a cool effect. We want persons to still adhere to the no bottle policy.
What's this incentive for persons who are caught, violating the no bottle policy? Is there disincentive?
What I do know,
disincentive?
Yeah, from the police side, they normally take it away. Or they ask you to go and get a plastic bottle or a cup or whatever it is.
That's not.
So that's what I know.
All right. Okay.
I think the police at the time would deter me because I've been to events before personally where police would ask them to leave or they would ask them to pour it out.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, so that part is really normally up to the police, but we would normally be putting the disclaimer on the signage.
Okay. So yes, you're going on.
But Joel, that session is working very well. I know we have some to continue, but the appeal and the interest.
That's all right. That's all right. That's how it is. We understand.
Yeah. And then the other one, which is creating a bit of a conversation, which is Rum and Rhythm, which is the Carnival Friday, the 27th of June, which is, we see it as the kickstart, the 10 days kickstart party. That is going to be in Victoria Park, of course, the 10 days. That is also $30. We have this originally or traditionally used to be Fantastic Friday, right? But the board of directors and the components and the committees felt like if we wanted to kickstart with a different vibe, a different atmosphere, giving you back that Friday night lime feel. So we've dubbed it Rum and Rhythm, where we're going to be featuring, because, the concept came from, we have a lot of rum festivals across the world. And I know our Minister of Culture has always been pushing for something of that nature. So we felt like if we wanted to incorporate some of that. So it would be the Friday, the opening. There's going to be the of course the declare of the 10 days. We're going to have fireworks. We're going to have artists. We're going to have an opening production that is going to give you an idea of everything that is going to fit into the 10 days. Not just including CDC event, but even private promoters. So for example, you would see a display of what the private events looks like in this opening act. And then we're going to move into some trending DJs, especially we want to feature some of our diaspora DJs. I mean, who are DJs living in New York, Toronto, or wherever. We're going to put that feature there. We're going to have, of course, the incorporation of a rhythm section in the middle of the set. We're going to have different bars, not the traditional bars on the stand, but we're going to have about 4 10x10 bars that we're going to make look like rum shop as a part of our drinking culture, and we're going to give them different names that are unique to us in terms of bars and what's not. And as I said, that is only $30 at the Victoria Park. There's going to be a lighting display, there are going to be fireworks, and the declare of the festival while we party. There's going to be merchandise. So for every ticket you buy, you might get a bucket hat, or you might get a tank top, or you might get a t-shirt for this particular event.
But Rodney, did you say it's creating a buzz or controversy? What did you say? You used a term.
No, there's some conversations about it in terms of if this is still Calypso.
What is it?
Semi-final.
I was going to ask you the nature of the conversation, but go on. You...
Yeah, it was basically so for some. I guess mainly for the older folks who haven't really been who's not connected to social media, so they're not seeing a lot of the changes where that is concerned. So we're going to be driving the semifinals from tomorrow in terms of the concept and where it's falling now in terms of date and venue. So we felt like that Friday night we wanted to give it a different energy, more of a modern and innovative style, while we are going to play some of the traditional stuff inside of it, as I said, in the opening act. So there's a pre-show before we get into the show that is going to be of high energy. There's a symbol that we're going to light that event that is going to be used throughout all our events. Right? I don't want to give away too much of that. So like when the opening of Olympics, you would light a torch, and that torch would be lit throughout the Olympics. There's something that we're going to do surrounding something like that. Okay. So that is something that persons can look forward to on that night. Yeah.
Okay. Just one before you go on this is I would hope that the DJs would play a sufficient amount of Vincy, soca, and so forth for 2025 or earlier. Sometimes the DJs. Go ahead.
It's strictly 100% Vincy music, just like what we did at the launch. The approach we took is that each DJ, we give them a particular period that they're going to play in, and we're going to do the same for this particular event. Well, majority of our events, we're going to have control over the content from our DJs and our live bands.
Okay.
Randy, I think that point is very important that the CDC has gotten to that stage, because for many years they refused to institute that, and then many times I unilaterally had to take the decision to mute the sound system when I think it was going outrageous. And I'm very happy that you have made this official policy, and I think we should underscore this. And people need to appreciate the importance of these kinds of policy for our artists, for the potential to earn income and to create impact on the wider audience are coming from other countries.
Rodney, have you had any feedback on or any question or concern expressed about the use of the two words? Well, not the 2 words, 1 word, rum.
Yeah.
The reason I'm asking is somebody just sent a WhatsApp here and was basically questioning. So go ahead.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of persons have been, not a lot, few persons have had some concerns about using the word rum. I mean, with the name of the show.
Yes.
But as I mentioned earlier, I mean, throughout the world, right, and the region, we have been seeing quite a number of rum festival or food festival, and we personally think that this is something that we also want to embrace. And I mean, and rum is a part of our festival,
Has
So
been historically, would you say that? Has been historically?
what, rum?
Rum, yeah. You said it has been a part of our
Cecil, why you
festival.
asking Rodney that when you know I came on this program
Well, I don't know.
and I explained to people about rum and wine and all of that. You remember that, Joel?
Yes,
Right?
yes.
And I said on this program, I drink rum.
Yes.
And people had a good laugh because we do not celebrate people who drink rum. We say, oh, you're an old dirty rum drinker. Or if you drink wine, oh, you have class. And the CDC is indeed correct in promoting rum. It is part of our culture, and there's nothing wrong with drinking rum. What is wrong is drinking too much and drunken.
I am not,
falling down and
Dr.
flopping
Scott,
off.
I'm not questioning that. And I just want Rodney to explain.
No,
That's
don't
all.
put Rodney in that position. Rodney, don't make it put you in that position.
No, Rodney can explain.
It's very much okay, because at the end of the day, we also want to see this particular event or brand as something that we could move with as a tourism product. And I will tell you why, because I didn't want to give away much, because I mentioned we're going to have 4 major bars, right, that is going to be featuring our award-winning rums. I mean, we can't run from that. I mean, everybody liked the idea when we heard Captain Bligh and the other rums that was given an award, and we embraced those things. We felt good about it to see that regionally and internationally we were given an award. So why is it that we cannot now embrace them and push them to the visitors and the foreigners who are going to be here? I mean, rum cocktails is a big thing. I mean, I drank a Sparrow rum cocktail, and it felt like if I was drinking one of those Long Island iced tea or amateur sour.
It wasn't better? You said it felt like it wasn't better?
No, meaning the approach with it.
Okay,
in terms of how
all
the
right.
mixologist did it, and fancy it up and what's not.
Cecil, we'll come back on another program and we'll discuss rum in detail.
Why to show us?
Yeah.
So yes, so Rodney, so the brand Rum and Rhythm. Well, rhythm goes without saying, without any explanation. Vinci has the most exciting rhythm.
So
Vinci music. Dr. Scott?
When we use
Dr. Scott?
Go ahead, Rodney. Go ahead, Rodney.
I don't want persons to think because we're saying rum, we're seeing it in the context of what Dr. Scott just mentioned. Persons think it's just a loose thing, and I mean bad behavior. It's rum in the context of its all its glory, all its element. And one of the things that we're going to be pushing on that night is to drink responsibly. Right?
Okay.
We're going to have a lot of signage and disclaimer where that is concerned. But it's not an event where you're just going to get loose and just drink down a whole heap of rum. As I said, it's going to take on the format and the atmosphere of these rum festivals that we see globally.
Okay.
Are you going to feature any soca rum songs?
Of course. Who said that, Pijan?
Yeah, that's Pijan. That Rodney, that mean all of them.
Plenty.
Well, whoever said that is actually tapping into the creative side. I mean, we're going to have majority of the content is going to be some of these nice rum songs, those hitting rum songs that we have seen over the years. You know what I mean? And they're going to be obviously on display. But again, I don't want, and persons have been asking it, it's not everybody's just going to come and drink and get drunk loosely. Right? It's basically going to, I don't even be fair to say, to feature the beverage aspect of our festival. I know people like to say carnival, but we are using it some festival which incorporates all of these things that we're talking about. Fashion, food, beverage, wardrobe, transportation, every single thing that makes up a festival is what we're trying to feature this year.
Actually, Rodney, the program this morning is really about innovations, and I like how you are being innovative about even the theme for subsection of the experience.
Yes. If I may ask Rodney a question, did you have any discussions yet with the SVG Tourism Authority on this particular event? Because I know it is something that they would look to embrace. And what if they came to you and said, look, you see, given the success, which is like it's going to be, that, look, we want to repeat this, targeting a different audience, say in December or February of 2026 or December of 2025. Would you be willing and receptive to having that kind of discussion with the Tourism Authority?
Most definitely, and Joel, you're tapping into what it is because one of their former employee, Miss Carissa Taylor, she was actually a part of the overall conceptualizing of this particular event when she was at Tourism Authority, and her thought process was exactly what you just mentioned. Because remember I mentioned earlier, our Minister of Culture, Carlos James, always talk about a rum and food festival that he would like to do, as part of the tourism product. So we are all aligning with everything that you just mentioned. So Miss Carissa Taylor and Karen Vera, they're also part of the shows and marketing committee, and they were the ones who really conceptualized the name and the concept of this particular event with the vision of it being something outside of Carnival.
Rodney, just Rodney,
Great.
and Joel, because again, we need to put things in context so the wider audience could understand. Now, rum is one of the leading exports from this region, and it is one of the battles being fought by the regional rum producers with the Americans over our rums getting what we call a geographic indicator. In fact, I've been involved in a project where I have a series of researchers working on that. We got $500,000 University of the West Indies to do some of this work from some of the rum producers. And in another life, I attended COTED, which would be the Council of Ministers on Trade and the Economy. And that's one of the things that is
of CARICOM.
Of CARICOM. So that everything is indeed correct, that if you look at rum, and if you could find a niche, which in our case, we have specific rums, our Sunset, I hope Jules won't tell me I have to pay for the ad, is indeed global, as well as Rodney said, we have award-winning rums. So it is indeed important, as Joel was making the point earlier, that different elements come together, and we have what you call synergies, and we have, well, don't want to use so many economic terms, but the point is, the more the different parts come together is a greater success we can have. And this is indeed, Rodney, a very, very good innovation. It's something totally different. And this is the kind of thing I've been advocating for, and I congratulate all of the parties involved. Joel, back to you.
Yeah.
All right.
Supported by me.
So Rodney is. So just sum up on that point, so you can go on to the next program element.
Yeah. So that's exactly what it is, and we're gonna have like mixologists and all these sort of things. So it's not really, and we don't want to move away from the authentic aspect of the history of rum as a part of our festival, right? So although we have all these nice package and branded stuff that is going to happen, we also want to stay as true and authentic, because the bars that we're talking about, they're going to take the decor of a rum shop type atmosphere, and they're going to have names of slangs that we use here in St. Vincent. So, for example, when somebody tell you Atari, what does that mean?
I have no idea.
I'm probably asking the wrong thing.
I have no idea.
Doc, when somebody tell you Atari, what does that mean?
Dr. Scott, that's for you.
Let me know, man. Let me know. You're almost there.
you know.
You're wearing down. You're slowing down.
Okay.
It's not affecting your
yeah, and
that means what, Rodney? You're tired, meaning you're tired drinking?
You're almost there. You're almost there.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. Dear where? Almost there where? What do you mean?
Drunk.
Oh, I see.
I'm cloud nine.
And then it's a young people thing, right? Because we don't want we want to also capture that audience too. And then there's one that we're going to call Head Nice, Quick Head.
I've heard that one. I've heard that one. That's an old people thing too.
Right. So we're going to also create these things that are significant to us as Vincentians when we partake in drinking alcohol and liming. Right. So the rum shop decor is going to be in play, and then the names that are slangs in terms of when you're liming and when you're drinking is also going to be a part of it.
Yeah, better make sure them rum shop biscuit and corned beef.
Yeah.
Sure.
And some fried fish.
And the bar stools.
Yeah.
Remember the bar stools and
hold on, it's not fried fish, it's fried jackfish.
Oh, fried jackfish.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's Rum and Rhythm. It's only $30 at Victoria Park, and that's a kickstart party for the Carnival on June 27th. And then we go on to June 28th, which is what we call Junior Carnival. which is the Kiddies Fun Fiesta, which is on June 28th, Saturday, June 28th, which would be featuring the mass presentation, the mass productions from the junior element of things, which traditionally we used to call Kiddies Carnival. That one we are turning Victoria Park into a Coney Island, because we want to make it a family event while persons can enjoy the craftsmanship of our mass builders and our kids. So there's going to be a Coney Island where we're going to flood the Victoria Park with all of the bunks. Well, we know what Coney Island is. If you don't remember Coney Island from back then, it means that you're too young. And
No, if they don't, let me invite them to come to see what it is.
Right. So that's where I was heading. So if you want to wrong at that time, now you're going to have an experience with the Coney Island. And I mean, we're just creating marriages because that's where entertainment is now. I mean, Jamaica has mastered that over the years, where they always mix their entertainment with fashion, right? And that has been a big and trending thing for Jamaicans. So for us now, we're going to mix the family atmosphere, the kids atmosphere, because once the kids say let's go, mommy and daddy have to go. You know what I mean? And once they reach there and they say they want this, you have no choice. So a big Coney Island, we have reached out to approximately 11 service providers who have like bouncing castles, attractions, educational toys. We're going to put a game shop inside there. So things that could attract the entire family. There's some family-friendly activities and attraction. But at a particular point of the day, once the mass is inside of the mass shed, we're going to pause everything, the mass presentation, and we continue after that. Because the mass figurators would come down from Kingston, and as they come, they go onto the stage. So that is how we're going to work that out. And I'm really excited about it, because I personally think that we don't have enough family-oriented events here in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and I think this is something that we have to embrace even during the festival.
And you've made complete provision for that, for the Kiddies Fun Festival, right?
Yeah, Coney Island. We call it Coney Island.
Coney Island. You did say Kiddies Fun Festival.
Yes. Kiddies Fun Fiesta. Kiddies Fun Fiesta. Yeah, but I'm using that term Coney Island to give persons who remember what that was from back then, right? And again, the mass production, and I didn't just say presentation, production, because there's some additional elements that we want to enhance the production of how the mass is being presented by the kids, right?
And how
So
do you
that is on
expect
June 20th.
how do you expect people, families, to respond to this?
Well, as I mentioned, we don't have a lot of family-oriented events that happen here in St. Vincent of this nature. So again, when we did a lot of our surveys, persons were looking at not just bringing the family to hear some soca music or some calypso music, but other things that could attract us, other things that the family can do together while they embrace and enjoy some of the other contents that are on the stage. Okay. So we look at where persons were asking for things of this nature, in terms of, an ice cream parlor, a food court where the family can go and sit down and embrace. So we're just trying to fit all of these things that we saw persons saying into this one event, and of course paying respect to the mass presentation and production.
What's the range of foods would be available, Rodney?
Food?
Yeah.
Well, normally, because it's a kids event, we would normally see KFC, the usual pizza people, things that kids like, a lot of toys, a lot of candies, a lot of cotton candies, popcorn, because interestingly, a lot of the vendors so far who have reached out to CDC is for that particular event. I don't know if it's that they make a lot of money from the children, but a lot of persons have reached out for to sell like things like the toys, the cars, the blow up inflatable stuff.
Rodney, I thought they were going to tell me Tulum and Tambourine Ball and so on and so forth.
Quite naturally for this event, we would the vendors would send in their menu in terms of what they're doing, but I haven't seen anything of that nature.
All right.
Because I guess we don't think our kids would appreciate these things, right? I think
Tulum. You don't think kids would appreciate Tulum?
I don't know. I can't say, and I don't want to say, because I've never really have any interaction seeing young people buying Tulum.
You have never tasted Tulum, it sounds like.
Me?
Yeah.
Of course, I'm full of Solom. Me, I can speak for me.
Okay. All right, Rodney. Sounds good. What's the other element? Oh, you want to
I'm
round
just
up on
going to
this?
give you the ones that we.
Did you want to
I just
round
want
up?
to give you the ones that we. I'm just going to give you the ones that has new elements.
Right,
Because I
right.
don't want to go through the entire thing.
Right.
The next one is An Evening with the Legends, which is the Calypso semi-finals, which is on Sunday, June 29th. Right. The concept came from Calypso semi-finals is celebrating the 50th staging. Right, and we also think that Calypso is the legendary. So we wanted to give it a nice tagline that could represent all these things that we mentioned. The guest performers are going to be some of our living legends, persons like Beckett, Posa, Ron Pompey. I think we're still trying to contact CP, right, to be a part of that particular cast. Bam, the one-man band is going to be a part of that also. So we're going to make it very elegant and nice and classy, and again with the legendary concept, and we're taking that to the cruise ship terminal. So by the end, by when the sun is setting, you have that nice atmosphere. Because what we realize is that the audience for this particular event is a lot of mature persons. So we really want to give them that feel. I mean, for this particular event. So there's going to be a cocktail hour from 6 o'clock, where we're going to create a marriage with the culinary arts. So there's going to be live pasta station. There's going to be, of course, our traditional food is going to be on display. And, of course, all of the usual things that you would see in the tent. So what we're going to do, we're going to give you back some of those traditional things that used to happen in tent long ago. So we're going to try to put in some humor inside there. We're going to try to put in some the seating arrangement and how tents used to operate long ago. So we're going to give you back that nostalgic feel and look for this particular event. So we're going to turn the entire cruise ship terminal into a tent feel and look, but making it very uniform and nice. Right? And that's basically it for that event. I mean, it's really going to be, from the pics that I saw, and Dr. Scott is here, you guys did a tremendous job, in my opinion, in terms of my listening. And I see persons are making a call for the Too Rude performance. And most definitely, and I mean, I've already asked the show's coordinator to see if we can include him into the performance as a guest artist. I don't know if you guys know what I'm talking about, the Too Rude performance in the pink outfit.
Yes.
We spoke about that.
Yeah.
How did you describe Rodney? How did you describe him?
Too Rude. The name of the song is Too Rude. I don't know his name.
Too Rude.
The song is called Too Rude.
Okay.
Mr. Hurst.
Yes,
I mean, he's right now. He's viral. He's buzzing on social media right now, and I mean, but that is the overall concept for that event. It's really to make it very classy, but also incorporating some of our traditional elements inside of there, and that is only $40.
Rodney, I have a quick request for you. Could you inquire of NBC Radio? Because they have good archives, and if by chance they have either the Calypso finals or semifinals of 1975.
Hold on, let me write down 75.
Yes, because
75?
75.
Okay.
Because you did mention about the 50th staging and so forth, but the semifinal, I believe they have it, but it would be so nice if a piece of it could have been played. It's also the year as well when at that semifinals and they had Beckett for the first time. He had an absence before of 6 years. When he returned to St. Vincent, when he sang California Girl or Mass at Victoria and Carnival History, along with some other persons who had some good, just even if you can't even get 10 minutes or something like that from that year. And I do believe that NBC Radio might very well have some recordings.
Yeah, I would appreciate that because, I mean, as I said, we're trying to give back that nostalgic look and feel because somebody has also given us a recommendation where we can go back for some of those recordings and even play them throughout the event, right? And even use them as questions so persons can win something by asking questions from these times. Yeah.
So Rodney, that's what else about
$40.
that night? The night of with the legends. What else do you want to say about that?
Well, I mean, again, so we're going to also create. I don't want to give away too much with this event, This event and
how you expect?
Online.
So Rodney, if you don't give out enough, how do you expect people to come?
But I mean, you got the 22, right? You got the 22 legends who are the semi-finalists. You got the other legend, which is Beckett Poser, Ron Pompey, and the other guest performers. And you get the decor, what that is going to look like. But we're going to do our overhead museum, right? In the format of pictures and dates, right? So you're going to see a lot of floating pictures in the venue. Things that you would, so for example, like how Joel just mentioned, 1975. You probably might see a picture from a performance in 1975 with the date. You understand?
Yes,
Yeah.
follow.
You understand? So it's more of an edu entertainment. So in the entrance area, while you walk in, you're going to see that overhead museum or that overhead wall of fame.
Okay.
Which I
Yes.
think is something that is valuable because, I mean, Joel just gave us some history. Some of us probably would not know. But I think it's very important if we're talking about an evening with the legends and we are talking about the 50th staging of the semi-finals, we should be able to give some level of information and stuff. And again, the target audience who come to this event are persons who would appreciate these things. Because from the time we mentioned
And
this,
that is
among
why,
the
and that is
Californians,
why, and that is why you, Rodney, you should say as much of the content as possible, so people come to be refreshed. You there?
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, man.
Incidentally,
I
Dr.
understand.
Scott just shared a photo of that moment when Beckett was crowned.
Yeah. And what year was that? That is 1976,
1975. 1975.
Want to see it?
Okay, nice.
Wait, was it?
Scotty, you could share that with me,
Well,
please?
Send it to me.
the yeah, I'm sure he would be able to share it.
Yeah, Rodney, I will
Scott.
organize you. And anything like that you want, you get from me. Don't worry. I sent this to Beckett last year in anticipation that it was his 50th anniversary. And we had a conversation about the event. But in it, you have also Toiler and Leader.
yeah.
So we should make sure we get something, Rodney, from Toiler and Leader. And I'm sure Joel could help you. I know Toiler songs, but I can't remember a lot Leader song because I happened to work with Toiler for many, many years, from 1980 something until he passed.
Yeah.
Well, Cecil, I think Rodney have gone through enough. As you see, it's in progress.
I don't know, Rodney, is there any final thing you want to bring to the attention?
Just regarding PAN. We
Oh
have
yes,
now
you
junior
can't miss.
PAN and senior PAN on
You
the
can't
same
miss
day.
pan, man. You can't miss pan. Yeah, just say something about pan.
So we have junior PAN and senior PAN on the same day, which would not affect anything because junior PAN would normally start at 2 p.m. and finish around 7 o'clock. And then Steel and Glitter would normally start from 8 p.m. So basically, we just brought the two events together. Not much of a logistical strain or anything on the CDC or the component to YPM because we have sat down and we've thought it through and went through the logistics. So for me, it's a full day of PAN, which is something I've been advocating for since I've seen it in Trinidad, since I played there when I was about 17 years old, where they had the medium and large band on the same day. And I said, that is something that would be nice. So just that additional, that particular event, and then the junior soca and calypso is now starting at 4 p.m. And the reasons for that is because when we started at 2 or 1 p.m., a lot of parents weren't able to come and see their kids perform because they would be at work. So we just made a decision that we would start it at 4 p.m., allowing the persons who are working to get off work and come to the event. So there's that. We are going to be starting the decorating of Kingston.
Before you go on to
next
that,
week.
before you go on to the decoration of Kingston, what kind of innovation that patrons can expect to hear when they come to listen to pan music?
One of the major things that we are putting in place is the run of the show. In terms of how smooth the run of the show. I mean, there are going to be other traditional stuff like the rhythm section. There's going to be a party stand for persons who just want to be in the party stand and party into the traditional elements of the whole steel pan industry. So the bum drum, the pan round the neck, the rhythm section. So while we wait for the bands to set up, you're going to have some of those things happening instead of just waiting and hearing the song 10 times or 20 times. So those are some of the things that we're going to be looking into implementing for that particular event. I mean, there isn't much that we can do because it's already a long show. in terms of the changing over of the instruments, the changing over the bands and whatnot, but it's really to eliminate that wait and that lull that the patrons have to sit down and wait for over a period of time.
And the admission for that show?
So Junior Pan is 10, right? And that would go, those tickets would be valid between 2 p.m. and 7 p.m. At 7 p.m., we're going to activate the steel and glitter tickets, which will be color-coded. So the 2 p.m. to 7 p.m. tickets are color-coded. And after 7 p.m. to about 1 a.m., that's a different color-coded ticket.
Okay.
So you cannot enter at 7 p.m. with a Junior Panorama ticket.
And how many orchestras are we expecting to cross the stage? Or to be on stage?
For what, the juniors?
Well, both. Give us for each.
Well, juniors, overall, I don't know the names of them because, Aishika is now the acting president. I think I saw 12 juniors overall, which is between community and school. And for senior panorama, I saw five bands.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
And then we have a new band coming in from the school, which is St. Mary's Roman Catholic, which is something that we are happy about. I mean,
okay.
I saw them rehearsing, and it was really a good feeling to really see them being a part of it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then quickly, because I know you guys have other things that you want to discuss, the decorating of the Kingston would happen from the next week, it's either Wednesday or Thursday. And I know there are persons who said that they want to be a part of it. So, I mean, look out for the announcement when we're going to start so you can come and be a part of it. For those who are listening to me, I mentioned about the dedicated gate for the senior citizens. I did mention that in a previous program. And for our wheelchair access,
repeat it.
There's going to be a dedicated line and gate for senior citizens. I know persons are asking what is the age group for senior citizens. And a wheelchair access for persons who want to come to the park who have wheelchairs. I mean,
but seriously, Rodney, you're talking about senior citizens as over 60 or over 65?
Well, we would be guided. I still need to do some research on what is the age for senior citizens. Some persons are giving me different age. Right, so I need to really do some research on that and get that, and we put out the
just call the bank. Call the Bank of St. Vincent and Grenadines. They have
exactly. Right, and then persons. I think, Joel, this is something that we spoke about. We're going to do a map so persons can know where to find the taxi stand, the bus terminal, the police station, the food court. Stations. I mean. Correct. So persons can look for.
Yeah, the washroom to run. Washroom. Washrooms also.
Yeah, washrooms.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're going to have a meeting with the PS from Urban Development. I mean, they also have an interest in how they can beautify Kingston and implement some of these things that we were just talking about. So that meeting should happen very soon. We had one already with Tongboard. So it's just really to finalize what we're going to do. And of course, the Vintimas Food and Craft Village is also coming in collaboration with Art in Action and the Fashion Association. That is something else, again, a lot of persons have been asking for. So for persons who are coming home, who are listening to my voice, there's going to be the opportunity to go through the craft village and go through the food village and get some of these things that you haven't got in a very long time.
And those would be located where, Rodney?
We have not finalized the location, but the tentative location is in the courthouse yard, the former courthouse yard, right opposite the market. That is the location that we have our eyes on. We've wrote for it already, so we're just awaiting approval.
I've just been advised for the Bank of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, the senior citizen age begins at 60. But you may wish to but anyway, be guided by that number.
But I know Joel and yourself not going to senior citizen line or the coming to the young people.
Get it from. you make me just poke up and laugh, man.
Yeah. So those are some of the newness and the innovations that we're doing. Of course, our entrances are going to be different. I mean, there's a company who wants to do some VR stuff while people enter the Victoria Park. We're going to sign off on that very soon. So when you come through the entrance, you could put on a VR headphone headset, and you might take you to Dartview Falls, or it might take you somewhere else.
Okay.
But for us, mainly in these VR headsets, we want to promote 2026 Vintage Mars.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
Sorry, Rodney. This sounds like a lot of resources. Who's covering all of this? Government?
well, both government, central government, and sponsors.
Okay.
But the intention is really to make sure that these shows are profitable. So we can at least go into them with our expenses paid based off our projections on ticket sales. And I could tell you we have launched our online platforms, and persons are buying tickets online, especially for the college semis. And quite naturally, Soca Monarch is a big thing.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So, with all intentions, with the newness and the new approaches with our marketing, we are confident that we would see uptake in our attendances once we keep the momentum, keep the public engaged, keep information out there so persons don't have to guess and assume and wonder. So it's really just to keep CDC in the line of all that is happening, and the engagement. The engagement is extremely important, right? And then we're going to be obviously doing our final press conference where persons can go and find information, where you can go and get information, and so that you don't ever have to wonder. And of course, I how can I forget the airport activation? I don't know how much of you saw.
Yeah, before you go there, just quickly, Rodney, the VR operation, who's providing that service?
I don't want to call a name because I can't remember the name off of my head, but they're also located upstairs Chill Spot. That's their location, and there's a company who is also coming in to work with the Tourism Authority, but they're coming to capture content so that they could feature them for next year. So we have two VR companies, one who's coming in to capture content, to put them together in their VR system, and then there's one who's ready to go while persons at the entrances or wherever we want to put them.
Rodney, somebody just sent a message to me. Let me ask you, is there a rum line?
A rum line?
Rum line. Oh.
Like alcohol rum?
What do you mean? That's rum. To get into the Victoria Park when you line up. When you're lining up.
Yeah, that line is at the bar, Cecil. That line is at the bar, not at the gate.
Oh, I don't know.
One of the other things that I forgot to mention is that we are using this company outside of St. Lucia for our ticketing management and whatnot. And we're going to, for one of our events, we have not decided which one, we're going to do a cashless wristband. So what that's done, you can top up your wristband, or you can put money on your wristbands, and instead of using a card or cash, you just tap your wristband and you get your food or you get your drinks or whatever. So we because it's new, we try to select a particular event that we think it would work for, because not every event the clientele would gravitate to that. So that is another innovation that we're looking to implement.
One quick question, Rodney. Somebody wants to know if, for one who entered for the Junior Pan, will he or she be allowed to stay on for Senior Pan? Or would that person?
Correct. Once you're inside, you stay inside, or even if you exit, you get an exit ban, right? But it's a situation where you can stay on.
Okay, and you're making arrangement for that, of course.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay,
for sure.
All right. Okay.
One question.
Yeah.
Any comment you can make now on the rural activities?
Yes, I mean they're all finished now in terms of the Soca Monarchs and the Calypso Monarch and the Queen shows and all that. I think what they're, it is majority of them, they are now doing their jump up. I think they're winding down. What I could say is that
literally winding down. Interesting. Yeah.
Good one. We have to have a conversation, which I would say, and I'm saying that personally and from a CDC standpoint, but I think that the support is there. The communities are are supporting the rural carnivals. But I think there's some improvement that is needed. And as I said, we have to have that conversation from a CDC standpoint in terms of some of the elements of a rural carnival and some of the things that we're seeing. I mean, the rural carnival in terms of the Soca Monarch, they're doing a really good job in terms of providing that platform for some of these artists who have intentions of coming into the national Soca Monarch. But in terms of there needs to be some structuring for some of them. There needs to be some, of course, some as what we are doing as a CDC, some innovations. There needs to be just different things that would make the patron experience a little bit more better, and not just only have like rural carnivals with just a jump up and a juve. I mean, the rural coordinator, Mr. Dale Morris, he has been doing a good job with the team and trying to get them to start thinking along those lines. But directly after carnival, while we do our evaluation and post-mortem, we have to look at the rural very closely, because they also help to create the atmosphere, going into the 10 days of Vinci Mass.
Last two questions from me, Rodney, and just frankly speaking, how would you size up, if you like, the support that you're receiving from the Ministry of Culture, the government? And that's one. The other part is the support from the police.
I didn't hear the.
How would you describe the support that you're receiving?
I mean, tremendous, because the collaboration and the partnership with the Ministry of Culture, the Department of Culture, has always been there. Even when I was there and I was seconded at the CDC, but even now we have implemented two seconded position, which is the festival director, which is Mr. Randy Bomani Charles from the CCI unit in the Department of Culture, and Miss Juanita Phillips, who is the commercial manager. And I can tell you those two additions has done a lot of tremendous work for us. I mean, we're seeing the impact, and the sponsors are now more engaged. We're looking at our projections from a commercial standpoint. So, I mean, those two additions is great. The permanent secretary, who is new, Miss Dr. Timira Brown, she has been giving her support, calling in, checking in if there's anything that we need. And of course, the minister himself, the police. I mean, before you would have heard things, the police and the CDC not as one, but that's not true. We have had multiple discussion with the Commissioner of Police, and he has given us his full support. What we are going to do is our final walkthrough with them, our final discussion, and of course looking at our security plan, because we have just increased the Monday evening time, and of course the street bar. So the conversation obviously was held in terms of security for the extension of this time, but we're going to do a full walkthrough in terms of just to iron out any loopholes. One of the things that we were looking at, and I think even from a 911 standpoint, is there's a lot of dark areas in Kingston. We're going to see and look at how we can not just from a CDC standpoint, but the CDC in terms of driving the conversation, but from a police standpoint, how we can help to rectify that. But the relationships and partnerships from central government and even the private promoters and the service providers is tremendous. And I mean, so I think we've started very well. I think we're going to have a great Vinci Mass, not just from a CDC standpoint, even from everybody who is a part of it, every stakeholder. I think we're going to have a great Vinci Mass. And as I mentioned, the airport activation, even that collaboration with AIA is really, 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 really a good feeling to see that everybody is working together and want to give our visitors that experience even when they just came off of the plane.
And my final question, Rodney, what is your aim? What is the aim of CDC in terms of remunerating winners? What time frame are you all looking at?
Well, I could say this on people don't talk about these things. I mean, over the years, you would have had to wait a year later before you could be paid for the launch of Carnival.
Well, that's why I'm asking. That's why I'm asking you the question now.
I could declare this now that everybody from the launch of Carnival was paid already 2 weeks ago, right? A week later after the launch of the Carnival. Because as I mentioned earlier, the financial controller, Carlos James, has been doing a tremendous job looking at our budget and making sure that he keeps us in line with our budget. You know what I mean? So our intention is really to look at the budget and look at expenses and look at profits and basically making sure that the dance can pay for the light.
But you're not answering my question,
everything.
you know. My question is,
I'm getting it.
oh, you're
What is
getting
the
there.
question?
I want to make sure you don't miss it.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead. My question is, what are you aiming for? What time frame in terms of paying winners?
I prefer not to say that just yet because I don't want to make a commitment here and then it's not feasible because we normally have our finance meeting every week, HR and finance now since we have started the festival, and that is not something that we've discussed at length yet. But what I could say that there will be an improvement. What it is right now, I don't want to commit and say 1 week after or 2 weeks after. But the intention is, and that's why I mentioned the launch of Carnival to show that there's an improvement. That 1 week later, persons were paid. After the launch of Carnival. But I can't commit to a time frame now unless we have finalized our discussion. But what I can say that there will be an improvement where that is concerned.
Okay, that's all right. Dr. Scott. Well,
Yeah,
we have kind of exhausted. We waited in here. I wonder if you have time. I have to check with Kieran if you have time to take a couple of calls.
Yeah, I want to thank Rodney for coming.
Before you go, before you do that,
from last night.
Before you do that, go ahead.
Rodney, you went Georgetown last night?
Yeah, actually, Judge, you saw coming out last night.
No, I want to let people know that you reach on probably 3 o'clock this morning. You're here.
But you're letting out the man's business, man. You're letting out the man's
business.
Actually,
Cecil, I run away from it and leave it to him because I have to catch up.
That's good.
Thank you, Rodney.
Yeah, no problem at all. Anytime, guys. Take care.
All right, then. Thanks for
all the best to you, Rodney.
All right, so just quickly, if you are listening, following the program, and you have any quick question for Dr. Scott or anybody here, Rodney won't be able to interact with you now because he's left. But if you have a question or suggestion, please call us now. 457-9997 is the number. And you can call us, use that number to call us direct or Facebook or send us a message, which a lot of people have been doing since the program started. Oh, sorry, WhatsApp, not Facebook. That's what people have been doing. If not, the phone is ringing outside the studio, but you need to call inside if you have a question. The number to call is 457-9997. That's the WhatsApp number as well as the regular straight number. Yeah, Dr. Scott, you're rounding up of the program? Well, before you do, we have a call. Let's just take this call, hear what this person has to say. Good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Good afternoon, my friend.
Good afternoon to you.
Hello.
You're on the program. Good afternoon.
Yes. I ain't got sufficient credit. I just called to remind Mr. Baptiste called from San Diego.
All right. Thanks to you, Mr. Baptiste, for calling.
So I don't know if you organize anything for me.
I know what it is you're calling about. I will again pass.
When I fix up everything, you call me off here.
No, I won't be calling you off here. I'll pass your number on to the person who is responsible. All right? And ask the person to follow up. Okay, then. Thanks for calling.
Okay, thank you.
Yes, yes, Dr. Scott.
Yeah, I was saying that I hope the listeners.
Well, and somebody's calling again. Let me just say this. Dr. Scott, sorry, we didn't interact with the public, but good afternoon. Welcome to the program.
Hey, good afternoon.
Good afternoon to you. It's your turn. This is It's Your Turn on BFM.
Good afternoon, Cecil. And other persons.
Oh, it's you. I didn't recognize your voice.
Yes, I didn't recognize your voice because you saw it was far away as well. That's why you saw me so hesitant. If I made a mistake. Yes, good afternoon to you and your panelists. I would like to start. And in fact, everything I have is good, but a very good note, and that is to thank persons. We normally leave it the acknowledgement at the end, but I just want to thank persons at the very beginning. All the sponsors, the Calypsonian, the patrons who turn up in numbers, especially for the preliminaries. I want to say a special thank you to
Dr. Cleve Scott and all the other judges, but I mentioned Dr. Cleve Scott first because he is our coordinator of judges. We have decided to make a move where we have decided that Cleve and Willis will do the selection for judges going forward, and not because we think it should be out of the hands of the Calisonians and Tents. We're moving towards having an adjudication board, so I want to start with thanking everyone. And of course, I'm thanking WFM because WFM did facilitate Dr. Scott and I on a program to advertise our workshop, our judges workshop. Well, all in all.
And WFM doing the same thing now, today.
Right, so you understand, we understand that. No, that's why I single them, I mentioned them, and the other radio stations. I don't know what your policy is, but the other radio station like Sweet Radio, especially Internet Radio, Nice, 75, have been playing calypsos over and over and over again. And I thank them for that. Because believe you me, calypso will survive. In 25, we are surviving, and we will survive. And we can only survive with a concerted effort, an effort from not only the association, but effort from all parties, all like-minded parties. So I'm not a dependent person. All the persons in the studio, whether virtual or physically. Pigeon, I see Ben on the tent. John, I did not see you at any of the tents this year.
I tried to follow as much as I could on 705.
Okay, so I expect to see you at anything with the legends.
Well, we'll see.
I put you on the spot. All right, I take that for yes. Okay, so let's get on to business. The 22 Calisonians have been selected and they have been announced. There are 22 semi-finalists and 2 reserve. I don't know if you have time enough for me to go through the list for you. If you want to go through the list?
No, we don't have. We actually don't have the time.
Okay,
but the list is here. The list is here at WFM, and I'm sure tomorrow the announcers and so on go through the list.
Right. Well, I don't want to do 20% attention, right? Some information that jumped out at me. In terms of gender, 15 males, 7 females made the semi-finals. The 2 reserves are males. When I looked at this, I realized there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 former monarchs with 15 crowns. Leading the pack, Zangi with 4, Skakes with 3, 5 Empress and Tadjo with 2 each, Mercy, Abijah, Ipa, and Chanel with 1 each. So you have 15 crowns on June 29th, and Eden with 11. And some persons are confused when they heard the Eden with 11. You see, we see Calypso has been a legendary art form. So, is that and the supporting act like the Becketts and the Porters, and traditionally, the reigning Calypso monarch performs on semi-final night. So you're talking when you add Beckett and Porter and Madzart, you know how many more crowns you have there. So it's really a lot of crowns and legends and that, and it's enough for you to come. And in addition, Skakes, hello?
We are listening,
Yeah, in addition to that, Skakes won a road march as well in 1982. You have the young lady, who established a record last year at the tender age of 10 years old, she made the Calypso semi-finals, making her the youngest person to ever make the Calypso semi-finals. When it's nice, you do it twice. She again has been selected to be in the semi-finals. And I speak of none other than Divine Sky Aksha. So we say we have young persons, and that has buoyed my soul. That there are young persons involved, and not only getting involved, they're actually competing, and they're very, very competitive.
How old was Kemi? Go ahead.
What?
No, just
go ahead.
I'll just double check into how old was Kemi when he made it to the.
Younger, older enough to sort in.
Okay.
I don't know if it's off the top of my head, but older, but it is established that Divine is the youngest to make it to the semi-finals.
Okay.
I mean, if persons have another history,
No, we can't indulge in that right now because of the time.
Yeah. No, I want to indulge and just say to
It's all right. But go ahead.
Yeah.
Go on
Yeah.
with you.
Right. So we have that. We have what we call, as Rodney said, he explained it all. But I just want to be facetious, and I have my own bar and name it Alcoholically Merry. That is a term
What does that
famous
mean? What does that mean?
Alcoholically Merry. Well, they make talk about Tipsy and Tarry.
Oh, okay.
That is a term coined by the famous, the infamous Patmos Richards to describe his state. He's alcoholically merry. So,
Okay.
so you see my fellow signing man, and I'm saying it to my heart. I must look at him. So you come in my bar and enjoy the alcoholically merry products that I have on offer. Yes, so I know I don't have time, so I just mentioned those. I have much more to mention. But I just want to take this opportunity to thank persons again and ask them to come out in their numbers. June 29th, cruise ship berth, and enjoy an evening with the legends. Come out in your underwear, as someone said many years ago, because this year is going to be another epic experience as the CDC gives you for the first time on a Sunday the Calypso semifinals at a new venue. And as Einstein said, the definition of madness, if you do the same thing expecting different results, then you're a lunatic. So
Did you say come out in your underwear?
Come out in numbers.
I thought you said underwear.
No, come out in numbers. That is wearing from summers. But I used to say don't come out in your underwear because summer country men come out in your underwear. Right?
No, but I heard you at the end saying that something about insane or lunatic. So I thought that's what you were tying up.
No. I was just going to now go into why the question changed. So Einstein saying that you know if you do the same all the time and if it's the same results, then you are lunatic. So you have to try change. The only constant is change. The only way you can do something works is if you try it. And we need your support. Please come.
No. Well, I disagree to you with that one. You can know something work. Yeah, if you try it and there's a history of it, you can know something work.
No.
Okay, all right.
I'm saying that at least you have the experience.
Okay.
You know for certain. You won't speculate. You understand? If I do this, if I do that. But when you do it, you can assess it, evaluate it, and make a determination. That's what I'm saying.
All right.
When you want to end the game, come out in your number. Cecil, I knew you're coming. That's why I didn't ask you, put you on the spot. I don't know if you're coming.
So what are you doing now?
Scotty.
So what are you doing now? What are you doing now?
No, I put you in the spot because I know you're coming. I put you on the spot. I put you on the spot because you're coming. And of course, Cleve will be there because he is in charge of the judges.
I have something to leave. I have something to drop off for you. You're gonna be where?
Yeah. I'm at home.
All right, so I'll try and make a swing and drop it off.
All right.
Look for me.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for calling.
And again, by thanking all who have supported Calypso during 2025. I will continue to support Calypso. I am indeed grateful.
Thank you very much.
Blessings to all the listeners.
All right, thanks for calling.
All the best, Kama.
Yes, gentlemen, we're going to do some quick final roundup. Dr. Scott?
Yes, thank you, FM. Thank you, Cecil, for giving me your program today. And Pijan, thanks for giving us the time too. Joel, as usual, excellent analysis and good work behind the scenes. Thanks for making me proud to say that you are my teacher. Right? Excellent job. So keep up the good work. Yeah. And Jules, Susan, I ain't coming for lunch today, so hope we're all next week. Take care, fellas.
Okay,
all the best. Yeah, all right. Gentlemen, any final words? Any final words, Joel?
Yeah, just to very, very brief. Unfortunately, time does not permit, but I just want to recognize the work of the Minister of Tourism, Honorable Carlos James, and his team, particularly of the SVG Tourism Authority, Annette Mark, and everyone else based in St. Vincent, and those who are based in New York, Toronto, and London, and in Barbados as well. The what is stated in the media across the world states about the rising star in tourism in the Caribbean, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, and a lot of that is due to the work of the Tourism Authority and the Minister of Tourism himself. I just also want to close by saying that we regret the passing and extend sympathy to regret the passing of Nicholas Duggan, a former national cricketer, swashbuckling cricketer and all batter and all-rounder. And I just want to extend publicly my sympathies to his family and say that St. Vincent has lost a good one, a great man, a good person.
Yeah, a couple of things, Pijan. No, a couple of things. Somebody did some research, and well, two persons, and advised that the voice we heard on the clip was really that of Jan Arlott. So I want to question that. And then somebody suggested or made the correction that the thing with Cap Stevens, I think that was something mentioned about Cap Stevens, and it is, well, Cap Stevens' son is benefited from fourth generation and not, the person said that it's the second generation.
No.
Second generation, yeah.
He is.
No, it's fourth generation.
But that's what I said.
I'm just telling what the person said. The person reminded us, and it is saying it's second generation is the Capson is benefiting from fourth generation by virtue of the fact that at least one of his parents is he doesn't have to apply. In the case of the second generation, the person has to apply. I think that's the clarification the person was making. And the only other thing I want to mention, we missed it at the beginning of the program. We intended to raise it, that it's going around Facebook that the Trump coup, King Trump, has put out a statement to the effect that countries that are into CBI are going to be banned. In fact, they mentioned all OECS countries except St. Vincent and Grenada. So I just want to ban from the thing for. Sorry, I'm looking at a number of things at one time, so that's why I'm kind of not focusing on that. But yeah, but anyway, Joel, you were talking about it at the beginning before we started the program. You want to just
no? I didn't necessarily. I think that the time didn't allow for the full detail on it, so I just said I'll leave that until next week, where we can articulate more forcefully on the subject. But by and large, I think there's restrictions and conditions that were stipulated. So the ban is not actually in effect. They have until Wednesday. To actually make a declaration as what measures they're going to take in relation to certain things, and they should be consulting with the respective embassies and see where that goes and so forth, right? And some are actually potentially an outright ban from entering the United States, their citizens, and others have conditions of entry and so on. So it is, I think we can discuss that more.
Yeah, we can, but as I mentioned it, I just found my thing. It says here, other reasons including the availability of citizenship by monetary investment was one of the things that one of the reasons that the US is advancing.
But you said earlier that it was a ban. You just want to just double check that?
Well, I don't really need to get into that now.
No, but you're saying that is a ban, so that is a powerful statement. I just said that.
No, well, I'm not going to go on any further. I just wanted to read what's here. The person shared with me that well, somebody's sending something else, but yeah, the thing is that there's a statement put out by the U.S. the State Department that the OECS countries minus St. Vincent and Grenada, and I don't know why Grenada, that the other countries would be. I'm trying to see the word that they use, but I don't see it here because I want to be more correct. But anyway, they're saying as a result of being the availability of citizenship by monetary investments. Bongo Shaka is coming in and saying something. St. Vincent is mentioned here, whatever it is. But Kieran is here, and I don't want to delay the program anymore because he's been here for a while. And so, Kieran, thanks for understanding. And I want to say thanks to Dr. Scott, as usual, always ready to come in. And thanks especially to Rodney for providing a detailed account of the Vinci Mass program. Very innovative and interesting. So people are going to find that. And those of you who have been following the program, we thank you very much, whether it's on WFM, Star FM, or Garfina Radio. We urge you to be safe and enjoy the rest of your day, Father's Day. And I'm sure a lot of you are going to have some outing with your sons, mother, daughters, and so on and so forth. On behalf of all of my colleagues, my name is Cecil and good afternoon.